Okay, there we go. Should be better. We should be good. Sometimes this happens. Oh, I actually have to turn on my earbuds. Yeah, no, it was a strictly a YouTube thing. Let's just double check something. All right, well, we do have our first guest, so we may as well bring him on. I just got to finish setting up really quick, and then we'll bring up our first guest. Let's talk to Smallest09. Smallest09, how's it going?
Hey, man. What's up?
Not a whole lot. Smallest09.
How's it going? Yeah, it's good.
I'm doing okay.
Sorry about bad internet, by the way.
It's fine. Look, I'm an atheist. Do you believe in God?
I do, but I do. I'm not gonna come up here and change your mind, because I'm gonna be honest, man. You're far more educated than me, and you thrashed me. All right.
So then why'd you come up?
And I'm aware of that. But I want to hear your argument for, because I want to hear your argument for, you know, atheist or, you know, being agnostic, because, you know, I'm here to hear people out, you know.
Yeah, sure. So roughly speaking, I kind of take a humble approach, and I kind of just look at what we do have good reason to believe in. So first and foremost, I think that we probably have good reason to believe that, you know, all of the things that have minds in the universe, or all of the things that have mind in reality, are the kinds of things that are attached to bodies. So, you know, we look around and we see a whole bunch of minds. You, me, presumably you have a mind, I have a mind. You know, our minds are attached to bodies. Now, maybe the minds are intrinsically linked to bodies, maybe they arise from bodies, whatever it might be, they always seem to be attached to bodies. And so at least that gives some sort of reason to think that having a mind that's not attached to a body is implausible. It's not likely. And a God is the kind of thing that would have to have a mind attached to a non-body, or a mind that's not attached to a body, because a body is a physical thing. And a physical thing, of course, you know, can't exist or can't be part of God, because God in some sense is prior to all physical things. Another point in the favor of a God not existing is something like, well, all of the things that we see in the world, they always seem like, if they have causes, whatever those causes might be, those causes are physical in nature or material in nature. So, you know, when I drop a pencil, the cause of it falling to the ground is something like gravity, and gravity is material or physical in nature, as it's a physical force caused by a material object, in this case the mass of the Earth. So all of the things that we see in the world around us have physical causes or material causes. And so it seems like if we're going to say that the universe has a cause, then it would at least be plausible, I'm not saying this is proof, but it would be plausible to then conclude that, well, it's likely whatever, if the universe has a cause, whatever that cause is, it's physical or it's material in some way. So, oh, he left. Okay. I don't know if he was ever actually here, to be honest. All right. All right, let's bring up Cortez Fortes. Cortez Fortes, how's it going?
Nice, how are you doing?
I'm doing all right. Cortez, I'm an atheist. Do you believe in God?
No, I have a question for you.
Well, do you understand that
how do you know?
You understand that the prompt says, can you convince me
I'm
to
gonna
believe in
convince
God?
you. I'm gonna convince you to believe in God, yeah? I'm
wait a
atheist,
minute.
and I'm gonna convince you.
But I asked you if you believe in God.
Can I ask my question?
I just
No,
want
I
to
don't
clarify.
believe in God, and I'm gonna convince you.
Then you're not going to
Yes,
convince
I
me to
don't
believe in your
God,
God.
and I'm...
Because you don't have a God to convince me of. Oh, hey, it's King E.
Hey, how's it going, Dr. Blitz?
Hey, King E, you're really fond of the thrashings, huh?
What do you mean?
I don't know, you just seem to keep coming back. So, King E, do you believe in God?
I haven't been here in about 2 weeks, my guy. Well, I'm glad that you're a fan
yeah,
of me.
but that's because I wasn't live for the last 2 weeks.
You were live. You had a sleepover with that one guy, right?
No, I was staying in a hotel, but yeah, I collaborated with Justin, but that wasn't my live stream. So, but yeah, so you haven't seen me because, or you haven't been up because I haven't been live on my own account. Anyway, so okay. King, you believe in God?
Absolutely.
Why should I? I'm an atheist. Why should I believe in the God that you believe in?
Well, number one, So you use your brain a lot, right?
Yep.
But that's not the way to kind of explain or understand or connect with God. You can't logically connect to the non-phenomena physical world through your brain and thinking about it. You gotta be I mean, have you heard of meditation? There's
Yeah,
a
sure.
truth in science.
I'm familiar with
Yeah.
meditation.
And you're a scientist.
Is
You're a
totally
scientist.
meditation is totally reasonable in a materialistic or physical or non-supernatural world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So in fact, it can be studied neurologically. So I don't know what the issue is.
Mm-hmm. Well, there is a science behind meditation, and I'm sure you know that, which you kind of explained it.
Yeah.
I'm in the belief that everything is part of God. Everything is part of this pure consciousness. We have awareness, which you acknowledge that, right? You have awareness.
Yeah.
Are you aware?
I have awareness. Yep. Absolutely.
Are you aware? Are you aware of that awareness?
Yep.
Wow, that's pretty freaking magical, don't you think?
I don't think it's magical. I think it's
don't
just
think
self-referential.
Pretty magical, man. That's not a physical property.
What do you mean? Awareness is not a physical property? I don't know why I would believe that.
Well, because you can't demonstrate that you're aware of your awareness. Only you can demonstrate that to yourself.
I don't know what you mean by demonstrate. Do you mean like make it external?
Well, no, not make it external, but make it a knowing, making a factual statement.
So I can make factual statements.
I know you can.
If the issue, like factual statements about my awareness, for example, if the issue that you're having is merely that I can't make statements about my awareness that are verifiable by you, well, maybe that's the case. But that doesn't mean that I'm not making factual statements, nor does it mean that it's not physical or, material or natural in some way.
Well, that's why you can't prove God to other people.
Okay, so you don't think that you can convince me to believe that your God is real?
I can help you convince yourself that God is real, but I can't.
That seems like it's equivalent. So yeah. So for what reasons should I believe that a God exists?
What reasons?
Yeah.
Man, dude, when you wake up every day, man.
I can clarify. So what I'm looking for is for what reasons should I think that the statement God exists is true? Because once you can convince me that it's true that God exists, then I will have every reason in the world to believe it. But my question is, why should I think that it's true that God exists? Like you could say, oh, it'll improve your life if you believe that God exists. But like the nature of my psychology, if you will, is such that I have a hard time believing things if I don't think that they're true.
Mm-hmm. Well, see, that's your biggest issue. You don't think that's true. Maybe have a.
So why should I think it's true?
When you don't think it's true, it's going to be closed off. Well, I mean, just have an open mind. Go and meditate. Sit in a room.
I do have an open mind. Why do you think I'm having these conversations?
When's the last time you meditated?
I tried it once in my 20s. It didn't really do much for me, so I haven't done it since. I understand that it does stuff for other people, but it's not for everybody, I think, and so I think that that's fair.
So you do one thing that you didn't quite understand how to do it, and you quit. Okay.
Well, it didn't do much for me.
It didn't do much for you. Yeah. I mean, usually the first time you ever do anything doesn't really do much. You're not,
King, did you go to college?
Dropped out of community college, my guy.
So it sounds like you tried the thing just the first time and it just didn't work for you, so you just quit?
No, I was pressured under my family and my parents to do it.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, it just sounds like that I could have said the same thing about meditation, because you're literally trying to pressure me into meditating.
I'm not pressuring you, but you're asking me on how I can help you understand and find God.
Well, no, so what you're giving me is homework's not the right word, but you're giving me a task, and then you'll say, if you do this task, you'll find it. But like, look, I don't think that meditating is going to inform me of some new facts that I didn't already know about. I don't think that meditating is going to give me new information or is going to give me new insight on particular arguments that I didn't already know about. So
you don't think so?
If you think, no, I don't think so.
You don't think that Einstein family said the reason why he came up with these things were from part of it was from the intuitional meditation.
I don't think that Einstein ever said anything about meditation.
Yeah, he said something regarding that. You could
I'm looking it up now.
You could Google it real quick.
Yeah,
he said something about that.
I'm not seeing anything that includes meditation in an Einstein quote, like the word meditation at all.
Put Einstein and intuition.
Well, intuition and meditation are not the same thing. I agree that Einstein absolutely would have talked about intuition.
Well, where does your intuition come from?
That's a really, really good question. I don't know. I don't know where intuition comes from.
Well,
I think it probably comes from, what psychologists might refer to as like the subconscious or something like this, where connections are being made
Well,
in a non-conscious way.
Yeah, that's where
that's
I'll
not
tell you.
meditation.
Hey, Dr. Blitz, let me be the doctor real quick. That's your intuition is you connecting to the pure consciousness. That's you connecting to God, my guy.
That's cool. Why should I believe that that's true?
Einstein did it. A lot of other people have done it.
I don't think that Einstein meditated. At least I don't see any reason to think that that's true. He definitely relied on intuition. I rely on intuition a lot, but that doesn't mean that it has anything to do with God or meditation.
Well, what I'm saying is meditation is the first step in order to get to that pure consciousness, God.
Okay, so there are plenty of people who have never meditated but still believe in God, and they presumably have reasons to believe that it's true. So what are the reasons to believe that a God exists?
Absolutely.
That it's true that a God exists.
You don't have to meditate, but that's just one step. Could you repeat that, Dr. Blitz?
What is the reason to believe that God exists?
What is the reason to believe?
Or more than one reason if you have more than one.
What is the reason to believe that God exists? I don't quite understand that question. I might have to go back to community college to understand that. The reason to believe that God exists.
Look, I can explain. So if I wanted to give you a reason to think that, I don't know, a platypus exists, for a long time actually, people thought that platypuses were not real, that they were hoaxes. But if I wanted to give you a reason for a platypus existing, one thing that I could do is I could show you a video of a platypus walking around, or I could show you fossils of the ancestors of platypi that are similar to the platypus but not quite the same. Or I could just bring a platypus to you, or I could explain to you the biological nature of the platypus and show how it's possible that such a being could exist. There's a lot of different ways that I could, a lot of different reasons I could give you to think that a platypus exists. So I'm just asking you what are the reasons, what are the justifications for the truthful, or what are the justifications for the belief that a God exists?
I mean, would you maybe consider that trees are intelligent and communicate with each other and help each other out, and is that?
I'm not convinced that trees are intelligent. I'm on board with trees like assisting other trees in the nearby area by emitting pheromones or doing whatever they do, but I'm not convinced that they're intelligent.
Is that not intelligence, is helping other trees?
No, I mean, not if it's a mechanistic process. You could build a robot that has cameras, and then when it sees another robot get damaged, it goes and flamethrowers the things that's damaging it, but that doesn't mean that the robot's intelligent. By the way, when you're off the app, I can't hear you. Okay, well, he lasted less time than longer than he usually does, but not as long as he has at max. By the way, he's a flat earther, which is a crazy thing to be in 2026. From Woden with the £1, thank you for the £1, my guy. And from I'm the Big Cheese with the $5. Why are so many people who meditate so easily irate and impatient with others? It's a really good question, right? That's a really good question. You would think that meditation is there to calm you. At least in part. All right, let's bring up crucifixion. Then we'll bring up a guest from Discord. Crucifixion, how's it going? Crucifixion, you there?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. Crucifixion, do you believe in God?
All right, let's first establish the definition of what God is, because it's a pretty complex topic.
Well, look, so if your answer is no, you don't believe in a God, then it doesn't even matter how we're defining it. But if your answer is yes, you do believe in a God, then we can talk about what that God is that you believe in, and we can talk about what that means.
Okay, so let me give you my definition.
Do you believe the thing you're about to define? Do you believe in it?
At large, yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so firstly, I don't believe in any written religion, such as
That's fine.
Christianity,
It's not.
Islam.
It's not what you do believe in, which is what I'm interested in.
Okay, so let's first talk about consciousness. I just want to derive the definition because it's pretty complex for me.
So why don't you give me the definition first, and then we can talk about what it means if I have any confusions.
Okay, so let me just can I think for just about 10 seconds?
Sure, go ahead.
All right, yeah, to be honest with you, I was just trying to play the devil's advocate. I don't
I
really
appreciate you
think-
admitting it. Please don't do that in the future.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, let's bring up a guest from Discord. Let's bring up Gauss Jordan. What a great name.
Hello, can you hear
Gauss
me?
Jordan, how's it going?
Good. Give me 1 second, please.
Yeah, sure.
Is this good? Can you hear me?
I can hear you just fine. Gauss Jordan, do you believe in a god?
I do.
Okay. Which god would that be, just so then I don't make any bad assumptions about you?
It's either a pantheism or a deism.
Okay. So why should I believe in that god?
So I don't know if I'll be able to convince you to believe in that God, but I would at least try to convince you that belief in theism is more rational than atheism, but more rational than either of the two would be agnosticism.
So belief in theism is more rational than atheism?
Yeah, deism or pantheism
Okay,
is more rational.
so
than
deism and
atheism.
pantheism are not theism.
Pantheism is a form of theism. I would consider them subsets, sub categories.
Okay, and you believe in these things? You believe that these things are you believe that pantheism or some sort of deism is like real and true?
Yeah.
Okay, sure. Yeah, go ahead.
So my basic argument goes that under my belief, there's only one basic axiom that I have to assume, and that's the existence of God, right? I take that as an axiom. I understand that's unfalsifiable, but why I believe that is more rational to assume than the atheist alternative is that to be an atheist vice agnostic, you have to make logical jumps to say that any state of affairs is a brute fact uh, rather than just something that we simply observe, right? So under agnosticism, we would say that, oh, why does gravity exist? Well, we don't know, we just observe it. But
Well,
an
to be
atheist would
clear,
have to say that.
agnosticism is towards the God proposition. Does not require that you say we don't know why gravity exists.
Right, I'm
Right,
not saying we don't know
agnosticism
why
is-
gravity exists. I'm just saying
Agnosticism is the kind of agnosticism is an attitude towards a proposition. It's something like, you know, you don't have an opinion or you don't have a stance on whether that proposition is true or false. And so in this context, agnosticism is specifically about the God proposition, not about anything else. I could be agnostic about why gravity exists and still be an atheist, still not think that God exists.
Right. Allow me to try and explain what I mean further. If you are an atheist, then at some level you must accept that something like gravity is a brute fact, right?
No, you don't. You could be a
You don't have to
necessitarian, for
accept-
example.
Okay. So what would what was the term? I've never heard of that before.
Necessitarian.
Necessitarian.
That all things are
What does that
necessary.
entail? That all things are necessary. Wouldn't that imply that if everything is necessary vice contingent, wouldn't that imply that everything is a brute fact?
No. Brute facts are things that are without explanation. Necessary things are, in some sense, self-explained.
Okay. I don't. I'm not
And
very.
to be clear, the bare acceptance of an axiom, the axiom that, in your view, that God exists, you're taking that to be a brute fact.
Right. Yes.
So I don't see where the criticism is coming from. Like,
The
even if I did
criticism-
say, yeah, like, let's say I'm not a necessitarian, but I'm still an atheist, then yes, I would have to accept at least one brute fact. It seems like that, okay, we're in the same boat, so one shouldn't be viewed as more rational than the other.
My specific criticism is not with like is not with if you say gravity, we just observe it and it's not a brute fact, then I take that to be the most rational position, right? If we just say, hey, we make all these observations and then there's no necessary logical jump to, or no logical jump to say, hey, this is a necessary thing, like if we don't say gravity is a brute fact, the electromagnetic force is a brute fact, the fact that baryons, protons,
But what's the
quarks,
issue
all of
with
these
brute
things
facts?
exist.
What's the issue with taking the view that
under
gravity existing is a
theism,
brute fact? What's that issue?
my point is that under theism, you only need to assume one brute fact versus an atheism where you assume all these other brute facts. You have
Well,
to
you
assume
don't.
accountably infinite set
So
of
it's
additional brute facts.
so it sounds like it's just one brute fact if you say, oh, I just believe that God exists. But your one brute fact is like an extremely compound proposition. It'd be like saying, I believe God exists, and that God has the disposition to do X, Y, Z, and that God has these properties, and that God does this, and et cetera, et cetera. And so I could just make a single proposition out of all of the brute facts that I need, like, you know, gravity exists and electromagnetism exists, and now we're both talking about the same number of brute facts. In fact, arguably, I'm talking about at least one fewer brute fact, because your brute fact includes the disposition to create a world that has these properties, whereas for every brute fact that an atheist must accept if they're not a necessitarian, there is at least one brute fact associated about the God that must be accepted. But then on top of all of those, so the theist has at least as many brute facts as the atheist does, but then the theist also has the brute fact that a God exists at all.
So I would agree if you're making a more compound claim as to what the nature of some divine being is, then yes, the proposition becomes more profound and complex. But if you're just saying that it's just that which created, that proposition is not all that is not all that complex.
Sure, but then you still don't. Then your proposition still doesn't explain why gravity exists.
Well, we would just say that it's created or it's emergent
right,
from.
But it wouldn't explain why it was created, right?
Well, ultimately, I think we would agree that I don't think we can know why. I think.
But then
that is an agreement.
so the point is
that
you're just accepting it as a brute fact that it was created by the creator. Right. So you have as many brute facts as an atheist would have, at least as many brute facts, in fact, and you have one more because you also think that God exists.
Well, no, because the difference is that in my worldview, there is one joining force which created all things. So it's not that
that's
each
a brute, but that's a brute fact that you have to
fact.
accept. That somehow the desire to create gravity and the desire to create electromagnetism, that these are somehow joined together. That's a brute fact.
I don't know if I would use the word desire, but
well, a will, whatever word you want to use, there is some disposition to do things a certain way.
Yeah, I think I would just consider them emergent phenomenon from a divine being source.
Why couldn't I just consider them emergent phenomenon from a universe then? And now I have exactly one brute force, just a universe. There's just a universe. That's the brute fact.
I think that would be consistent with pantheism, so I'm fine with that.
What?
With that,
I mean, it's not really consistent with pantheism unless you. Like, in my view, pantheism can be consistent with atheism in the sense that it's just a semantic dispute, right?
Right, yeah.
But that's not really that's not a meaningful... The pantheism, if it's just a semantic dispute, then pantheism and atheism are not meaningfully distinct. If you just define God to be all that exists.
Agree there.
So that, I mean, that's not the conversation we're having. It's not a useful or meaningful conversation.
Okay. Well, it seems like we agree here. Then, could I probe as to why you don't think the historical conversation is worth having? I feel like
The
the
historical
semantics
conversation?
is
What
interesting.
historical
Yeah,
conversation?
as to which goes into the history of pantheism, like all the way back to the Athenians. A lot of people tend to think that pantheism began with Spinoza, but it's actually much older
I
than
mean,
that.
you can have a historical conversation, but the point is if there's not a disagreement on the facts of the matter, if it's just a disagreement of the way that we label certain facts, you know, we label certain properties, an atheist might label those properties as natural, a pantheist might label those properties as divine. There's no meaningful distinction, right? It's just not it's not an important conversation to have if the facts of the matter are not disagreed upon.
Fair enough. Yeah. Well, I don't want to take up any more of your time. I think we agree for the most part.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna let you go then, but thanks for being here.
Yeah, appreciate it. Bye.
Take care. All right, let's bring up another guest from you or from TikTok this time. Oh, let's read some super chats first, and then we'll bring up Lucas. From Nick with the $2, are trees intelligent? Lost the Entwives. They lost the Entwives. I feel like that there's a pun here, but also I think that you're referring to Lord of the Rings, and I don't know which. From Gravel Skeleton, thank you so much for the $10. Hey, I enjoyed your recent video where you briefly got into the aliens topic with a guy. I think there is a lot of opportunity for fighting misinformation there. People are extremely ignorant on this. Yes, they are. And then from I'm the Big Cheese with the $5, I would argue the God existence debate isn't one about rationality. It is about reason, a sufficient justification for accepting the claim. Well, yeah, but arguably one would say that like one is rational if one uses reason to come to conclusions. Let's bring up Lucas. Lucas, how's it going?
Hey, can you hear me?
I can. Lucas, do you believe in a God?
I do. I believe in Christianity.
Okay,
So-
cool. So I don't. Why should I?
Okay, so let me just put this forward first. I don't think you'll ever come to logically believe in a God. I understand you're a scientist, first of all. I love your videos. Like, they're super cool. I'm studying to be an engineer. Absolutely amazing. But I believe that if you keep looking for logic in God, you'll never believe in it. And
So you
maybe
think
that's
that you can't come to belief in God logically?
logically no. Just because it's like this.
Then why should I
let's-
ever believe in it?
because of this, right? So the stock market, let's say, the economy doesn't I know it exists, but it's not something that physically exists. But it influences our decisions, and it influences the fact that we're not going to use up all our money here or this, and it puts in a positive impact in our life, right? The same way that God doesn't technically exist or logically exist, but the fact that everyone believes in it and it has a positive impact on their lives is a reason to explore whether or not having that belief, even if it is illogical.
So you don't
would
think that
ins-
God exists? You just think that the fact that a bunch of people believe in it
makes
is,
it
you know,
makes them a God.
is useful, makes it like worth believing in.
I guess so.
Buddy, I don't know how to tell you this, but I think you're going to hell.
Well, I don't think so because I don't believe in the Bible, because I feel like that was just written by a bunch of people that wanted to
Buddy, I
control
don't know how
other
to tell you this. You're not a Christian.
I guess not in the normal way.
Not in any way. You don't believe it's true.
I don't. I'm kind of an atheist. I just kind of wanted to put forth the idea of
Get out of here, Lucas. No. None of this. We'll have none of it. All right, let's bring up a guest from Discord. Johnny. Johnny, how's it going?
Hello, hey. Okay, wait, I have to just.
Johnny.
It's going great.
Your mic's a little quiet and a little muffled. Could you speak closer to your mic, please?
I could try. Maybe now it's better. I don't know.
Yeah,
but
it sounds better.
okay. So I will try a different approach. I've spoken here before, and let's just try this approach, okay? I believe I think in order to believe, in order to think, you have to believe. Is there a statement you can get behind, or you say this?
In order to think, you have to believe? I don't think that that's the case. Johnny, you do believe in God, yes?
I do believe in a God, yes.
Okay, and what God is that?
That God is the creator of the universe, of the Big Bang, however you want to put it.
Okay, fine, sure. So why should I think
don't
that thing
believe-
exists?
Because there's positive things associated with believing in a God.
I agree
example-
that there are positive things associated with believing in it. It doesn't mean that the belief points to something true about the world.
It doesn't have to be useful for you, right?
I'm not saying I'm not interested in believing what's useful. I'm interested in believing what's true.
Okay.
Also, your
You're not
mic is still very
interested
quiet.
Okay, sorry, wait.
That's better.
I can't make it better right now. Sorry, maybe you can make it louder on this. I don't know.
I've made
But,
it as I've pumped up your volume as loud as I can. I've pumped it up everywhere as loud as I can. It's very quiet.
Wait, give me 2 seconds. 2 seconds.
I can add.
I hope now it's better.
Seems like it is, yeah.
Okay. The point is, you only believe in true things. They don't have to be useful for you, right?
Well, at least that's my tendency, yeah.
Okay. What do you deem as true?
That given the standard axioms of piano arithmetic, 2 + 2 is 4.
Okay, so things that are true are like concepts.
No, I was just giving you an example of something that's true.
Yeah, but I don't get I don't get an example because numbers are a concept as well, like God is. So
Yeah.
yeah. So why you believe in
So
the one thing but not in the other thing?
Descriptions of concepts and the relation between concepts can absolutely be certain relations between concepts can be true.
Yeah,
For
but you
example,
can
we have
prove-
we use words to describe certain concepts, and so we can say that two words have similar meanings, even if the words aren't things that actually exist.
Yeah, because we agree. Two people agree upon a meaning, right?
Yeah.
Same as with God. I mean, you have to agree up on the thing you believe in, right?
Well, you have to. So look, I think that I can give you another example. I also think that it's true that the sun exists.
Yeah.
Okay, that's not a concept. That's just a thing. I have an attitude towards a proposition. The proposition referring to a thing.
I get that, but
reality.
I don't get why believing in a God seems not to be true to you, because
Well,
there are
unless
facts
somebody
that
can
are...
give me a reason to believe in it, the same way that I believe that the sun exists, or the same way that I believe
mean-
that 2 + 2 = 4, why should I believe that the God exists?
I mean, if we see facts that a belief in God does change something in persons, isn't that
That's fine. Lots of beliefs can
a
change
proof?
the way that people behave. That doesn't mean that the thing that they believe in is true.
Oh, okay, I get it. Okay, I get it. Okay, get it. So you say even if it benefits you and it's wrong, you don't believe in it, right?
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, I can't argue with that because
Okay.
true is something I can't fathom to explain, right? Because something is true to you, but it's not true to me. So
Okay, I'm gonna let you go then. Thanks for being here. All right, let's bring up debates are useful on TikTok. Debates are useful.
Hello.
How's it going? I don't know where. I
Good,
don't know why I
man.
haven't been
How you
able to
doing?
find any actual religious people, people who actually believe in God. Debates are useful.
Yeah,
Do you
okay.
believe in God?
So I
The answer's
firmly
gonna be
believe.
no, huh?
No. I firmly believe in the a deist version of God, and I lean towards the Catholic triune God, but I can't really provide argument for that unless we establish the first premise of just a God, and then
Okay,
I feel
that's
like we
fine.
need to. Okay, so do you know what the Kalam cosmological argument is?
Yeah, I do.
So what would you say your main critiques or objections are, so we can discuss those?
Well, I think both of the first two premises are probably unjustified.
Okay, so you dispute that the universe had a beginning, basically.
Well, I dispute that that's something that we have reason to believe is true. Now, it could be that the universe had a beginning, but I see, no particular reason to think that, to believe that over the position that the universe doesn't have a beginning.
So you reject the classical Big Bang theory, basically.
If by the classical Big Bang theory you mean the Big Bang theory as posited by like Georges Lemaitre and then existed from about as like consensus from about the 60s to the 80s, then yeah, I reject that.
So what would you say your model is?
Well, so
of the-
my position is that there was a hot Big Bang around 13.8 billion years ago.
Do you believe in a singularity?
No.
Okay, so can you
And
clarify
in fact,
then?
most physicists don't.
I mean, there are a lot who do.
Right, but most don't.
Okay, but
Like something between
Rules.
65 and 70% don't.
so yeah, so what do they believe in?
That there wasn't a singularity.
Yeah, like what? What alternative?
For example, an ultra dense state that's still finite in density. That would be
right.
like the
So I
universe
think,
13.8 billion years ago was very, very dense, and then it expanded and got less dense. But
So
it
don't
doesn't
you
imply that
think
there was a proper singularity.
Don't you think that redshift and don't you think a redshift of galaxies shows that a singularity is?
No, it doesn't.
plausible?
Not in the slightest.
Okay, can you? Because
all redshift shows is current expansion or current and past expansion. It doesn't show that the expansion continues all the way back to zero size.
I mean, it shows that if you roll back time, we'd be in a very
hot, very dense state. I agree.
Yeah.
Very hot and very
But-
dense
but
doesn't mean
what-
singularity.
yeah. So I'm asking you, what alternative to a singularity?
It could just be hot and dense, not infinitely
Yeah, but
hot and
what is
infinitely
hot and
dense.
dense?
The universe.
Ooh. Yeah, but wouldn't that be the same thing as a singularity?
No, a singularity is a specific thing. It's specifically, in this case, it is infinitely dense, taking up zero size, having zero volume.
Okay. So you think that the universe is eternal, basically?
No, I think that that's a possibility that can't be ruled out yet.
Okay, but if you had a gun to your head and someone asked you what you think happened at the start, what would you say? Because otherwise we can't progress.
I can speculate.
With the conversation.
I can speculate. I would like to. It seems cleaner if the universe has if there's no first moment of the universe, but that's pure speculation and appeal to aesthetics. This is not some defended position that I have. I'm not willing to say that that's like more likely to be true.
Doesn't
The point is if you're making the Kalam cosmological argument, the first premise or the second premise, depending on how you order it, you have to defend that the universe has a beginning.
Yeah, okay. Don't you think background radiation shows that the universe can't be eternal?
No.
Because it's not 0 Kelvin.
No. All it means is that the universe was denser than the electromagnetic there's a phrase for this. There's a certain density above which electromagnetic radiation is a certain density and temperature above which electromagnetic radiation is not able to pass through unimpeded. So all the existence of the cosmic microwave background radiation indicates is that there was a time in the past when the universe was denser and hotter than that temperature and that pressure, or that density and that temperature.
So you don't think you can extrapolate that it would show that a beginning or singularity is needed?
No, I don't think you can. Considering that we know our physics breaks down before then, we don't have a reason to assume that that any sort of extrapolation back to a proper singularity is reasonable.
So you just believe in a very hot, dense state of the universe, but have no further.
Yeah, we don't have enough data. We don't have enough. We don't have enough data to know what it was like before that.
Okay. I think like an eternal universe would not make sense because if you could travel infinite years back into the past, then
you can't travel into the past at all. So, and also infinite's not a number.
Sorry. I don't mean travel. I don't mean if there's an infinite sequence of years going to the past, then there's also an infinite sequence of years going to the future to reach the present. But of course, since affinity
What do you mean
is
to reach the present? Sorry, to reach the
to
present. What do
reach
you
the
mean?
present from an infinite years in the past.
Infinite's
Like
not a
that-
number.
that's just
Infinite is not a number. So how many years in the past are you asking
Yeah,
that I
no,
need to
I'm making
go
a
back
critique
to
of
go to the
eternal
present?
universe.
Right, and your critique is based off of a category error. You're saying that that it even makes sense to talk about infinity years ago, but infinity years ago is not a meaningful sentence.
Okay, but that the whole point is that it shows how absurd an eternal universe would be.
An eternal
Because-
universe just means that forever, like if you went, like if
Yeah,
you wound
forever.
the clock back, if you wound the clock back 10 years, you could also wind it back 11 years. If you wound it back 100 years, you can wind it back 101 years. It just means that for every year, there's a year before that. It doesn't mean that you can go back infinite years.
So you don't think eternity is synonymous to infinity?
Well, no, they're not synonymous, but even more so, the question about how long does it take to get to now implies a starting point. Right? So if you pick any starting point in the
Yeah, but a
past, it
starting
will take
point
a
doesn't have
finite
to be
amount of
fixed.
time. If you pick any starting point in the past, there will be a finite amount of time between then and now. I don't see what the issue is.
Yeah, but that's the whole problem, is because in eternal universe,
What's the problem?
you would be able to travel back an endless amount of years.
How could
because
you
it's
travel back
eternal.
endless amount of years? Where would you end up?
Sorry, not travel. There are before you an endless amount of years
Sure,
because it's eternal.
but any one of them is not endless.
Yeah, no, I'm not. I mean an endless amount.
I know, but any one of them is not endless years ago. It's not infinity years ago. There is no year in the
any one
past
of
that
what?
is any one of the years before you. There is
Yeah,
no year in the
of course,
past
the
that is
years.
infinitely long ago. This is the mistake you're making is treating infinity like it's a number. It's not a number.
So you accept that there would be an endless amount of previous years, but you don't accept
sure.
that infinity can match that.
I don't know what you mean by match. The number
Match,
of
'cause you
years
said-
can be
you
the number
said
of years in the
infinity.
past could be infinite. That doesn't mean that there is an infinitieth year. Look,
But if
okay, let's just frame this
endless
another way
amount
so I
of-
can clarify. How many numbers are there between 0 and 8? How many, like, whole numbers?
Integers.
Yeah.
8.
Well, okay, it depends on whether we're being inclusive or exclusive, but it's either 7 or 8. How many numbers are there between 0 and a billion?
Inclusive 1
Yeah.
billion.
Right. How many numbers are there? So does that mean that I can ask you how many numbers are there between 0 and infinity?
They're infinite numbers. if
No,
you're
the
being
question
inclusive.
was bad. Infinity is not a number.
I know it's not.
That's the mistake you're making. You're saying, well, but there's an infinite number of years
But then
between
how
0
can
and
we
infinite
describe
and negative infinity BC or an infinity BC. Like, infinity BC is not a year.
Then how can we describe? Because this, remember, I'm trying to critique your position. So
By the way, this is a position that I think is possible. I don't. It's not a position that I hold to, but I think it's a position that's possible and hasn't been ruled out yet.
If I don't know, if you think that, okay, I'm not saying you definitely believe it, but if you think the universe is eternal, how many years do you think there are between now and as far as you can go back?
There is no as far as you can go back.
Oh yeah.
That's
Yeah,
the
but
point.
so it's endless again. So it's infinite.
Yeah, well, not really. The point is you're asking how many years are there between 0 and the maximum number of years that you can go back. But that's like saying how many numbers are there between 0 and the biggest number. There isn't a biggest number.
Yeah. There is no biggest number because the biggest number is infinite.
No, not because the biggest number is infinite. There is no biggest number. There not being a biggest number does not mean the biggest number is infinite.
So what else could the biggest number be?
There isn't a biggest number. Just like how if the universe is eternal, there is no beginning. There is no starting point from which you can count all the way up to now.
Yes, there is no single starting
There is no
point
starting
or
point
biggest
infinity
number.
years ago.
Yeah. So you could be able to. So there would be an infinite amount of previous years, and therefore an infinite amount of future years from an infinite amount of previous years.
Well, I mean, that's not quite right.
It's a number.
That's not
can go
quite right.
back
No,
and
no, no.
forth.
There's not a. That's not quite right. It could be that the future is finite. It could be that the universe just ends like in 100 years, and then for any year in the past, there's a finite amount of years in the future. Right?
Yeah.
There are no years in the past for which there is an infinite amount of years until now.
Sorry, can
Like,
you say
look,
that again?
There are no years in the past. There's not like, you know, for each year in the past, we can assign it, we'll call it like a trillion BC or, you know, a million BC, whatever, right? There is no year, X BC, where there is an infinite amount of time until today. An infinite number of years. Like,
But you just stated that
the
there's
easy way
an
to understand.
infinite amount of previous years.
Yes, there are. But that's talking
So
about
can
the
we not-
totality of the number of years, not an amount of years between
so
two points.
the totality is backwards and forwards. That's what I'm saying.
No. So if you want to ask about the number of years before now, it could be infinite or it could be finite. Depends on whether you think the universe is eternal or not. But that doesn't mean that the amount of years, that there are any years before now that have an infinite number of years until now. What you're falsely comparing two things. On the one hand, you're talking about the total number of years before a certain point. On the other hand, you're comparing the existence of year, or you're also saying, you're conflating that with the existence of years between one point in the past and now. So you're comparing a set, like the size of a set of the number of years, to the size of a set between two, you know, years. One only has an upper bound, the other has two bounds. Any number of years, any set that corresponds to the number of years between 2 points will be finite. But if you only have an upper bound, then the number of years in that set could be infinite. These are two different kinds of sets.
So,
look, the way to think about this is just consider, assign to each year a negative number. Clearly, there's no issue with saying that, you know, if numbers exist at all, then all of the negative numbers exist, and yet none of them are negative infinity. None of them are none of them are infinitely far away from zero.
Eventually, there will. Okay, no, eventually, but they go on forever.
Yeah, but none of them are infinitely far away from zero.
All right, maybe I'll rephrase it like this: if you're walking through doors, like let's say a year is a door, and you're on a journey through the doors, and you had to go through an infinite amount of doors, would you ever reach your destination? And let's say the destination is the present. You wouldn't, because infinity is not achievable, so you wouldn't reach the present. But here we are in the present, so there can't be an infinite
so what would
amount
be
of
what would be
doors.
the conditions? What would be the starting conditions where I have to walk through an infinite number of doors to get to the present?
It's just
like, okay,
the
so
totality.
look, let's say the present is at door number 0. Last year was at door number -1.
Yeah.
The year before that was at door number -2. Now, where am I starting this process? Where I have to walk an infinite number of doors to get to 0.
From an infinite amount of years ago. From
which door is
infinite
it?
previous amount of years, which you already accepted.
Which door am I what's the first door that I walk through?
Okay, obviously you're gonna say I can't say number infinity because
right, it's not a number.
So does this not show, or maybe even if I'm not getting it, does this not show that there are logical problems with having an eternal past?
No, there aren't, because you haven't demonstrated any.
Okay, if the past was if there was an eternal universe, would we not have experienced a heat death already?
No, not necessarily. Just depends on the dynamics.
Can you explain that? Because I thought that is one of the strongest pieces of evidence.
Well, yeah. So that would all that would do. Sorry, I'm trying to fix something.
No worries.
This is so annoying. All a heat death. The only way you could get a heat death is if the universe has been expanding for eternity. But nobody's making the claim that it's been expanding for eternity.
Okay, but if it wasn't expanding, then that would contradict against the.
No, it's been expanding for at least
background
13.8 billion. It's been expanding for 13.8 billion years. The question is has it been expanding for longer than that?
But then, you agree that you said it was dense and hot. Would you agree that expanding the universe would be much smaller 13.8 billion years ago?
The universe was much smaller 13.8 billion years ago. Yeah.
Oh, cool. So you agree that expanding, I don't know, increases the size of the universe?
Surely of the observable universe. Now, whether the universe is infinitely large is a separate question, but sure, for the sake of argument, we can say that the observable universe, or that the universe itself is finite.
Okay, then would you agree, since you agreed that if there was a eternal universe, there would be a infinite amount of previous years, then you wouldn't even have to reach infinity, but you'd still, since it would be expanding for an infinite amount of previous years, it would be zero. There would
Who says
be
that it's
no
expanding
space.
for an infinite number of previous years?
You said that.
No, I said
sorry,
that it's
maybe I'm
expanding for the last
misquoting
13.8 billion years.
Yeah, and so wait, so you think that how would the universe not be expanding before that?
It could
How
have
would
been
it operate?
contracting, for example.
So you think in a cyclical model, like the
It
big
could
bounce
be. I
theory?
think that's something that hasn't been ruled out yet.
Like the big bounce where
Yeah, I think
universe...
that's something that needs to be ruled out, and I don't think that it has been.
I thought modern physicists argue against that. The consensus is that it's not really a supported hypothesis.
So up until recently, it was the consensus that the universe is not going to recollapse in the future. There is more data coming out that kind of makes that a live possibility now. It's still not mainstream. It's still not the consensus, but I don't think that the data doesn't fully rule it out anymore, because we have better data now, and the better data is a little bit more, little bit less decisive.
Okay. Do you think that there's any possibility that the universe did have a beginning?
Sure.
Okay, so can we just run with that, because I feel like we've spent quite a lot of time.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, if we go that, so obviously I'm gonna say then it has to have a cause, and you're gonna say, would you bring up quantum fluctuations?
No.
As like something that would dispute that second premise?
No.
So would you agree to the second premise?
Well, okay, it depends on what you mean by cause. Do you mean like some sort of temporal causation?
Okay, and then the third premise is...
No, are you listening to me? I asked you a question. I didn't agree with the premise.
Yeah, no, it kind of leads into... They're kind of the same.
So what kind of cause do you mean?
Yeah, I mean like a timeless and spaceless cause, because
okay,
to create the universe,
so you can have
the cause must be
I understand causes to be temporal in origin.
Of the universe.
I understand causes to be temporal things, and so I don't even think it makes sense to talk about a cause of time at space. It means within time. It's a cause is is a kind of explanation that happens in time.
Yeah, sure.
So in that case, the universe, which includes time, can't have a cause, because there wasn't time before the universe to cause it.
Yeah, it can't have a cause that's within time, because
right. So then I don't know what you mean by cause if you don't mean something that's happening within time. So can you explain what you mean by cause here?
Something that's responsible for the universe. For the
Okay,
universe
so
beginning to exist.
can you give me another example of this kind of causation that you're referring to that isn't temporal?
Of course, there's no other example because we're dealing
Well,
with.
so then I just don't know what you mean. I just don't know what you mean by is responsible for. Are you saying like it's a grounding relation?
Okay. I mean, I can give like an analogy, but it's not a perfect one because if I were to create, if I were just making a ball, I'm outside of that ball, right? And I'm creating it.
Right, but the issue is that the cause is still temporal. I don't know what you mean by. Do you just mean like an explanation for the like that? And
Yeah,
somehow
maybe that's better.
Okay, so if you mean an explanation, I would say that sure, yes, the temporal part of the universe, the first moment of time would have an explanation. I agree.
Yeah. Okay. And so it has to, because the universe is bound by space and time, to create, just as I can't create the ball unless if I'm in the ball, because that's just not, I have to be outside of the ball. So this explanation needs to be transcendent of time and space.
Well, it doesn't have to be transcendent of space. It just has to be non-temporal, right? It could be purely spatial. And for example, that's the kind of thing that I would say is at least a possibility.
Spatial, then it would be included in the singularity because the singularity was all of space condensed into.
Well, no. So a singularity is when all of space occupies, or when the spatial scalar factor is 0, meaning all of space is condensed to a single point. I'm saying that you could just have a finite space. That is the explanation for the first moment of time. I don't see any issue with that.
A finite space as the explanation.
I.e. a non-singular space, non-zero size space.
Oh, so you're disputing the model of the singularity?
I don't think that there's a singularity at all. Regardless of whether the universe is finite or not, I don't think that there is a singularity.
Since you just granted the first premise for this case, that the universe has a beginning, how would it have a beginning if it was not through a singularity?
Yeah, there would be a first moment of time, and in some sense, there would be an explanation for that first moment of time, which would be purely spatial, non-temporal, but still finite, not singular.
Okay, so this cause doesn't even have to be outside of space. It just has to be outside of.
Well, yeah. If you're just asking for some sort of explanation for the first moment of time, then the explanation just has to be not in time. It doesn't say that anything about it having to be not in space or not physical.
Well, space and time are connected. You can't disconnect them.
They are connected in the current phase of the universe, but that's not. They're not in. They don't have to be intrinsically connected. This is something that Stephen Hawking and James Hartle. Is it James Hartle or David Hartle? I can never remember. Stephen Hawking and one of the Hartles. I'm just Googling. Is it James Hartle or is it David? Yeah, it's James Hartle. Stephen Hawking and James Hartle proposed that you could have, in some sense, like a spatial universe that sort of pre-exists. It's not really pre-exists. It's sort of explanatory for the first moment of time. This was proposed in the 80s.
What, a pre-existing universe?
I don't want to say it's pre-existing because that assumes time, but in some sense it's prior to, in like a geometric or an explanatory sense.
So I don't really understand what dispute we're having right now.
Well, all I'm saying is that you can have a cause or an explanation, perhaps. By the way, when you're off the app, I can't hear you. All I'm saying is that you can have an explanation for a first moment of time without requiring something that is outside of reality, outside of physical reality entirely. But if you're off the app, I can't hear you. Oh, he left. Let's see if he comes back, because maybe we were making progress there. In the meantime, did Kyle Teeter leave? Because Kyle Teeter's been crashing out in my comments for like in the comments of videos for eons, but I think that he actually may have left when I told him to join the live stream. What a shame. What a shame. Kyle Teeter, if you're watching this, join the live stream. Anyway, let's read some super chats. We'll give him another few minutes to come up while I read super chats, and then we'll move on to our next guest. From JM with the $2, thank you for the thumbs up, and from Christopher with the £5 caller, 1 + 1 = 3. Blitz, no 1 + 1 = 2. Caller, but doesn't my inability to understand that 1 + 1 = 2 demonstrate the logical issue with math? No. Yeah, that's roughly what happened. I don't think that he was being bad faith, but that is roughly what happens. Adam asks, was it your boy Ian who convinced you that inflation wasn't real, or Justin? No, I convinced them that it wasn't real. What? Kyle does only crash out in text. That's true. God, my sinuses are killing me. All right, let's bring up another guest. Let's bring up a guest from Discord. Cutoff frequency. How's it going? Cutoff frequency. You were on the show.
Hey, all right. So, thanks for doing this. This is going to be a fun conversation.
Yeah, cutoff frequency. Do you believe in a god?
So, let me mute here. Okay, so yeah, in a word, I do. Yes.
Okay, and just that way, then I don't make any incorrect assumptions about you. Which god is it that you believe in?
I'd like to establish some table stakes first before I answer that question, if that's okay with you.
I don't know what table stakes are, but sure. I'm not trying to. This isn't a gotcha. I'm not trying to pin you down. I just want to make sure that I don't make any bad assumptions about you.
I see where you're coming from. Yeah. So I consider myself a rational pantheist.
Okay. And I've had conversations with pantheists before. So my question is there a disagreement about the facts of the matter of the world, like what kinds of things exist and what kinds of things don't exist, or is this going to be a disagreement about the way that we label things?
Oh, it could be. It could be about labeling. You said if I can convince you to believe in my God in so many words, if you believe that existence exists, and I think maybe you do.
Yep, I do. But if you just call existence God, then we don't this is a semantic dispute. So there's probably just not much to talk about.
Sure.
So look, cutoff frequency. The other guy is here, so I'm gonna let you go. He came back. I guess he disconnected. I'm gonna let you go. But generally, conversations with pantheists aren't particularly fruitful anyway, because you guys are atheist in all but name. Debates are useful. Welcome
Hello?
back.
Yeah, sorry, my phone died.
No, it's fine. We were. It's fine.
Okay,
So,
you were saying that the
go ahead.
cause doesn't have to be space. It only has to be temporal, not temporal.
Yeah, so if you're talking about something that's a cause of time, or an explanation for the first moment of time, perhaps, then all you need is that, either it needs to be self-explanatory, which, is perhaps problematic, or you need that it's non-temporal, whatever the explanation is. And I don't have an issue with that. I think that you can have a purely spatial explanation for time. I don't see an issue with that, and I don't see how that
Well, you're
gets
saying
you...
space and time weren't joined together at the genesis of the universe?
At the first moment of time, perhaps they were, if there was a first moment, of course. But that doesn't mean that there isn't a way, or there isn't a state of affairs where there is only space.
I just don't understand how something that is within space can create time.
It's not something within space, it's space itself giving rise to an emergent time.
Okay. So you agree
At least
that
that's a possibility, and I don't think it's been ruled out. Not to say that I like believe that, but I think that even if we grant that the universe had a first moment of time, I still don't see how you're getting to a God exists.
do you well, I'm just thinking, because this is getting into different routes I didn't think it could get into, basically. So do you think that there's any possibility that a singularity could be the actual
No, I don't think that singularities are possible.
Why not?
Because that would involve a quantity that's measurable and yet is infinite simultaneously, and I think that gives you a contradiction.
What is measurable about a singularity?
Like the space-time curvature at a singularity would be measurably infinite, and that's like saying that's like saying the square is circular. Like they're contradictory.
Yeah, but aren't you sort of introducing that problem? Why would it be measurably infinite?
That's what makes it a singularity.
So no modern scientists believe in a singularity, you say?
Few do. It's definitely not the consensus view.
The ones who do, what would they respond with?
They would respond with, well, the thing that we think of as at least one that I know of, I think his name is Luboš Motl. He would respond with something like, well, there are singularities in the classical space-time, but that's because fundamentally the universe is not a classical thing, and so there is something deeper underlying it that is totally well-defined.
Wait, you believe in black holes, right? Because black holes have a singularity.
I don't think that they have singularities either.
Oh, that is... So they're also just a very hot, dense state.
Well, they're not necessarily hot, but they are very dense. We don't know what's going on inside a black hole. It's pretty hard to measure that because we can't go inside of them and come back out to tell everybody.
Yeah. But they're not hot, so why don't they require to be hot?
Because they're cold. The universe was hot. Black holes seem to be cold. Like, okay. I mean, it's like universe or black holes could be hot on the interior. It's hard to say what that would even mean because we have no idea what the interior of a black hole is like. The universe was hot because we can calculate the temperature as a function of time as we wind the clock back. And it was very hot 13.8 billion years ago. And this agrees with the cosmic microwave background radiation. Black holes, we can't really say anything about what's going on in the interior.
So
what's the actual so what's the argument for thinking that if there was a first moment of time, therefore a God exists?
Just the fact that it needs, or the universe needs, a cause.
Well, we've already been over this. By cause, you mean explanation, and I've offered you an alternative explanation.
The universe needs a transcendent explanation because it can't be...
You mean transcendent of time, right?
Yes.
It transcends time. Sure, I agree.
Generating the universe, basically.
I agree that time needs, if there is a first moment of time, then time would need some sort of explanation that is transcendent of time. I agree with that. How does that get you to a God?
Okay, wait, so you actually agree that there needs to be... Oh, no, sorry. If the universe has a beginning, there needs to be a timeless cause or explanation.
Yeah.
So before I get into what I think it is,
well, you're the one making the argument, right? So why don't you actually defend the argument rather than just asking me like to speculate?
Okay, so this cause, or explanation must be uncaused, because if it's outside of time...
So if we're already outside of time, so there are no causes anyway. So uncaused, like obviously nothing's caused if you're outside of time. So that's fine.
Okay, and then this is where we get to obviously the more subjective stuff. I would say an explanation, a timeless explanation for a universe that has...
Well, no, we're not talking about an explanation for a universe. We're talking about an explanation for the first moment of time.
Yeah, which becomes the universe.
No,
first moment of time.
No. The first moment of time is not. It's not like once you explain the first moment of time, you explain the whole universe. No, there could be timeless universe. There could be timeless. There could be timeless universe. You could explain the first moment of time, but still not have an explanation for, you know, a year later. Like, all I've granted is that if there's a first moment of time, then that first moment requires an explanation that's timeless. I don't think that this year requires a timeless explanation. This year is explained by the happenings of the previous year.
By last year, it regresses back to it regresses back to the first moment of time, which is why I'm saying if you explain the first moment of time, you explain the whole universe.
Well, no, because that assumes that there's no other moments. That assumes that there's no other universe that isn't temporally after the first moment of time.
Okay, sorry.
Like that's an inbuilt assumption that is not true.
So you object to the principle of causality?
No, I don't know how you got there from where we were. I reject this idea that everything that exists in the universe must be temporally after the first moment of time.
How would it be not after the first moment of time?
You could have a timeless universe.
Yeah, but I'm talking about our universe, which
our universe could look. Our universe is this four-dimensional thing that we call the universe, right? The part of the part of the universe that we're in has time. There could be parts of the universe that don't have time at all.
That seems very contrary to logic. What you're saying? There are parts of the universe that don't have time, like physical parts.
Yeah.
So,
not
but that would mean that
places, arguably times, but they're not times.
Not places, but times. They're time. So you're saying there are times in the universe that are timeless. I don't really know.
No, I'm not saying that there's times. I'm saying that there are. So okay, we have this four-dimensional thing, right? This four-dimensional thing. And we are like this conversation is somewhere/somewhen. There is a if you think of it as like a block of cheese. You could point to this conversation in that block of cheese. Now, depending on which way you move in that block of cheese, you're either moving spatially or you're moving temporally, at least near this particular place in the block of cheese. But there could be another chunk of the block of cheese where, regardless of which way you move in, it's all spatial directions.
But then it wouldn't be a block.
Why not?
Because a block implies three spatial dimensions and a temporal.
The block is an analogy for a four-dimensional thing.
Yeah, and I agree. And you said that there could be another block.
No. It's the same block. It's just the. Okay, look. So I'll use another analogy because slices of bread are perhaps more familiar. So imagine that each slice of bread was imagine that right now is a slice of bread, right? And then a year from now is the next slice over. And a year before is the slice before that, right?
Yeah.
And so like each slice is a moment of time, if you will. Now, if you go in the direction of you know, the next slice, that's traveling forward in time. If you go in the direction of the previous slice, that's traveling backward in time. And if you go in the direction of the bread, that's just traveling. That's moving in space, right? So
what do you mean the direction of the bread?
So what I mean is in the direction like along the same slice.
In the direction along the same slice.
In any direction along the same slice, not moving to another slice, not moving to the next. So you can move along the same slice of bread. That would be moving in space, or you can move kind of forward or backward in the slice, and that would be moving in time. But I could imagine that that slice of bread only has those properties of the next slice being forward in time and the previous slice being backward in time nearby. Like maybe in these 5 slices, it has this property that moving between slices is time and moving within slices is space. But it could be, if you go back 8 slices, then moving forward or backward in slices doesn't actually move you forward or backward in time. It's just another spatial direction that you can move in. So there's a change in the nature of what moving between slices is.
And you're saying
it's
that's
still one loaf of bread.
Is there any evidence to support that? Sorry, because
this is a live model. I mean, like, we're talking about things like nobody has evidence for any of this. For like, nobody has evidence for a singularity. Nobody has evidence for like a beginning of the universe. Nobody has evidence for an eternal universe. We have models, and those models are tested against the data. And there are models that do exactly what I described.
That don't have time but have
well,
space.
no, where there's one region of this 4-dimensional thing that has time, and another region of this 4-dimensional thing. It's part of the same 4-dimensional thing. Another region that doesn't have time.
But 4 dimensions includes 3 spatial plus time. So
well, at least
having
in our part, in our part, the
time would make it 3 dimensions.
No. The point is that in our part of the universe, the dimensions, or the 4-dimensional thing, breaks down into 3 dimensions of space, 1 dimension of time. But the idea is that elsewhere, in another chunk of the loaf of bread, those 4 dimensions could just all be purely spatial. By the way, this is a paper that I read. It came out fairly recently. That is talking about one way of that you could account for this. And so here's the picture that they use. They say that you have, I don't know if you can. Oh, one sec. You probably can't see this.
Can't see it.
One sec. Here you go. So here's the picture that they use. So they have, if it's blue or purplish, there's no time at all. And if it's yellowish or brownish, then there's time. So the idea is that the Big Bang happens here at this wiggly line. That's the Big Bang. That's where the space converts from being purely spatial in this region to purely temporal in this region. Or not purely temporal, to having a temporal aspect in this region. And so the idea is that, in some sense, this first moment of time is explained by the geometry in this purplish region. It's not caused because there's no time there, but it's explained by the geometry.
Symmetries.
Not symmetry, although symmetry could be a nice explanation. But it's just like there's a quantity called the signature of a metric, and the signature of the metric
what
can
is
be
that
controlled.
arrow? What is that arrow labeled as? The black arrow?
This black arrow, it's just a coordinate in the 4-dimensional. This is a 2-dimensional picture of a 4-dimensional thing. It's just a coordinate.
Does it not represent time?
If you're in the yellowish parts, it does. If you're in the bluish parts, it just represents a location.
So this is like a big bounce model, right?
No,
because
this
it's
is not a big
going
bounce
along,
model.
and then because there's a second squiggly line on the left, which
Yeah, but
would
they
that
also
be
have.
a depth?
Here's another picture if you want one. So here in this picture, they have the blue again has no time; it's just purely spatial. But then they have time showing up in all of these places that are yellowish, and it could just be kind of like dispersed around. And so like this yellowish part would represent an expansion and recollapse. This yellowish part would represent an expansion and recollapse, but perhaps this yellowish part would represent an expansion that expands forever, and there's time forever in this one. But there's no time over, on the, like over here. So, it just depends on, where you are in this 4-dimensional universe. Some of them, some places in that 4-dimensional universe will have time, some places won't.
So you're saying a timeless, like, geometry could be the explanation?
Yeah.
And could you not identify other characteristics about that and try to make that a model of God?
Well, no, because a God is a thing with a will, a mind, intention, perhaps. This is just a universe. This is just space. Like, these are not the same thing.
Okay. But of course, we have no theories of how those theoretical geometries actually produce
Oh,
time.
we absolutely do. That's what this whole paper is. This whole paper is giving one possible accounting of how you can have.
Is it just quantum fluctuations?
No. In this case, time is emergent from something called a clock field. The clock field has certain properties in certain places, and when it has those properties, that's when you get time.
Sorry, what article is this? Because this is
It's called
really
the emergent big. It's called the emergent Big Bang scenario. It was published on the preprint server 3 months ago. You could just screenshot it, and if you just Google the title, you'll find it.
You're saying if the universe has a beginning, this is the most plausible theory.
I'm saying that this is a possible theory. This is a possible explanation. I'm not saying it's the only one. This is just one that's fairly recent, and I think it's very cute.
You don't think the classic Kalam can survive anymore within modern cosmology?
No, not in the slightest.
I feel like William Lane Craig kind of he said that most of the those models, which like the cyclical or the big bounce ones, have been like
this isn't any of those, and he's never even heard of this.
Oh, so this is a completely different type of model.
Yeah, and look, like I have a book, and in fact, in this book, this book came out before this model did. So I have a book called Battle of the Big Bang, written by Nilesh Afshorty and Phil Halper. You might know Phil Halper. I think Phil Halper's had a debate with William Lane Craig, actually. But in that book, they go over 25 actual models that are taken seriously, that have not been ruled out, that all are either have an infinite past or a finite past, and none of them have been ruled out by the scientific, by the data that we have access to. So if William Lane Craig is saying that they have been, then, he's mistaken.
Okay, so I think for now my cosmological argument is basically in the ground, but I have another one. Have you heard of the universal potency argument for God?
I have. I think it's trash, but also you've been here now for almost an hour, so I am going to let you go.
Yeah.
We can talk about that at a later date.
Yeah, we might. Okay, thanks.
All right, take care. By the way, so that was honestly, I actually think that he was fairly good faith, but, he has a lot to learn. William Lane Craig has done innumerable amounts of damage. From Dr. Fudge with the $10, told Ian about this too. Blitz, if you want to illustrate this view of time visually, look at strata cut animation. I think it's what 2D space with 3D time would look like, as in... okay, let me Google this. Strata cut animation. Oh, I know what this is. It's horrible. When I Google this, it's horrible, but I know what you're talking about. By the way, guys, if you want to support me, there are a few different ways to do so. Whether or not, if you're interested, of course, if you're not interested, that's okay. But if you do want to support me, then I have Cash App. Cash App is probably the easiest way, and they don't take my money. They don't take your money, rather. None of it goes to Cash App, or a very small amount goes anyway. I also have a Venmo, which is new. It's not posted anywhere, but it is new. Let me just pull up the Venmo just in case, because not a lot of people know about it. And if you don't want to support me, you can just tune this out, just pretend it's an ad that you're not paying attention to, because that's what it is. It's at BlitzPhD on Venmo. So that's a thing that you could do if you wanted to. Again, kind of the easiest way, and they won't take your money. Like a very small amount actually goes to Venmo. But of course, super chats, if you want me to read something, you can, of course, send super chats and the like. PayPal I haven't made yet. I need to make an official PayPal, but it's not there yet. But we'll get there eventually. In the meantime, you could just like the live. Just click on the like button if you're watching on YouTube, or you could click subscribe if you're watching on YouTube or Twitch or wherever you are. Those are all great things to see. Oh, Ashley sent memberships on both the Horrors and Verts. I didn't actually see the memberships being sent. Let me see if I can find it. Because if I don't see it, then that means that my software is broken. But I do remember you doing that. I do remember seeing it scroll by in the chat, but my software may be broken. Yes, the software is broken. Ashley, thank you for sending memberships in both locations. It is very much appreciated. As always, you know, we'll give a big W to Ashley because I just can't, for some reason, my software is acting funky. If I do miss a super chat, let me know. Sometimes the software doesn't work well, even though it's not just in software. But let us bring up another guest. Let's bring up Harbinger. Harbinger? Is that how I spell it? Harbinger, how's it going?
Oh, hey, can you hear me?
I can. Yeah.
Oh, cool. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. Harbinger, do you believe in God?
I do. I'm a born-again Christian. I used to be atheist.
Okay.
I've never done any drugs in my life before. I had a supernatural encounter. And since then, I've had more supernatural encounters in my life than I can even count. And where I stand currently right now is that with the exploration and advancement within science, I think that atheism and our understanding consciousness and frequency and vibration and all the above, I think that in the next few years, agnosticism will become the popular ideology, maybe not necessarily Christianity, but I think atheism is a dying breed, and I think will be looked at as unreasonable to believe in the years to come.
Okay, why do you think so?
That's a good question. I
like.
like.
I just, actually, before you begin, I just want to point out that atheism, not only is it not a dying breed, it's actually one of the fastest growing affiliations in the West.
Yeah, I mean, I would point to. I'd actually say agnosticism was.
Well, unaffiliated, right? So not affiliated with any religion, not a believer in God, for example.
Well, I mean, what other religion? What other ideology could be propagated faster than an ideology that doesn't believe in anything? Is there any other ideology that doesn't?
So then it's just, I mean, it's just not a dying belief system.
Well, I'm saying you have no competitors, so how would you say it's not
well, no,
dying?
I mean, the competitors are like things like Christianity and Islam and Hinduism. These are competitors.
Right. But you're saying of people that don't believe in anything. Okay, I get what you mean. I don't want to take up your time on that because I get that you're a busy guy. My question to you would be, what do you consider, because I'm not going to go for the low-hanging fruit of nothing created everything within fine-tuning of the universe, because I think probably, I haven't watched for a long period of time, but I think that'd probably be boring because probably a lot of people have brought that up on your live. My question to you is, I heard you before said, I don't believe in anything supernatural. And my question to you would be, what would you consider is supernatural?
I mean, there's kind of a colloquial notion where supernatural things are those things which are not even in principle explainable or describable using, you know, we might call them like laws of physics or, you know, natural laws, whatever it might be. Okay. I think that if we're being super precise, I actually think that there's probably not a good definition of the supernatural that isn't that isn't just like trivially nothing. So, but when I say I don't believe in the supernatural, I don't think that there are things that are like outside of the, you know, the kind of physical natural world, if you will.
Okay. Now, I understand what you mean by that. So you're saying pretty much that our natural law, if our natural law were to be broken, or we were to observe something that didn't go by natural law, that would be so-and-so supernatural. And then my question to you would be, what is your...
Okay. So what I would say, so my contention, and what I mean by I don't think that there's supernatural things, is that if something happened or we made some observation and it was in violation of some natural law, what I would think would be the case is that actually there's just some deeper natural law. We haven't figured it out yet, but there's some deeper natural law that accounts for whatever we observed.
Okay, so within that possibility of there being a deeper understanding of natural law, would that open up the door in your ideology for agnosticism? Because, or maybe I just don't have, because I've run into a bunch of atheists that their understanding of atheism is a little bit different. Is your understanding of where it is currently, you don't believe that God exists, but there is a possibility of God existing? Or are you saying at this point in time, you don't believe in God, unless there were to be some type of information put forth to you that would convince you otherwise?
Certainly the latter. I think that I think that it's unlikely that anyone's going to bring forth such information because I think that I'm right.
Okay.
But
Well,
you know,
yeah,
obviously,
yeah.
I've thought I'm right about other things in the past, and I've been wrong about them. So it's possible that I'm wrong about this. I don't think it's likely, but I think it's possible.
Okay, that's awesome. Hey, I want to commend you real quick on like having a debate in a way that's like you know, logically honest and not using fallacies and mean words and attacking people and so on and so forth. So that's really awesome. I
appreciate that. So tell me, why should I believe that a God exists?
Right. My question is, so the reason why you would is because you're looking at what natural law is, and you're saying, hey, if we can observe something that would be above natural law, that would necessarily break physics, then there could be another example or explanation for that.
That's not why I don't think a God exists.
Well, yeah. I'm just saying, not in totality. I'm just saying in one specific splice of the area, because what you're saying is that in totality, if one area can be broken, it can cause you to think a different way about agnosticism. My question would be, I would point to multiple different things. You know, when we look at science and multidimensionalism within quantum theory and quantum science, that we have multiple things that prove that the human conscious has a literal hold or grasp over the material world that no other being possesses.
Can you give me an example?
I would point to the observer principle.
Okay.
Yeah,
Can you
I would say,
explain to me what you think that is?
The observer principle is that when human beings observed, not with their eyes, but with their minds, they observed energy, electrons or photons, that the status of how they moved was different and caused them to not go through a circular slot on a metal object. And so when that happens,
What's the evidence for this?
The evidence of this is that when they left, they went into another room. Okay, so they said, okay, this is weird as to why this is behaving like a wave instead of a particle. When they went into the other room and didn't look at the experiment with their physical eyes, the experiment was still off. They did not have all three particles focusing as waves or as a regular photon. When they left home that night and they went back to their family, their friends, their loved ones, all the above, and they stopped thinking about the experiment, and that wave then turned back into a photon and went back through the slit on a metal plate.
Okay.
Which then
when was this experiment conducted?
The observer principle.
This thing that you just described with like these people leaving and then they go home and then they stop thinking about it. When was this experiment conducted?
That's how they found out in general that the experiment was off, and that who
did this?
I don't know the names of the scientists off my, but the reason they have in observer principle. So the idea is that when you observe something,
everything you just said, completely ahistorical, that never happened.
So you're saying the observer principle is not even true?
Well, it's generally called the observer effect, and it's an unfortunate naming of something that is unrelated to human consciousness.
I would question
to be clear, there's never been an experiment like the one that you described. Not a single one.
Okay. Well, I think people can go online and look it up. I think it's pretty darn.
You will not be able to find me a single name of a single physicist who has done an experiment like the one that you just described.
Okay.
Well, and you're on Discord, so like if you want to take your time and go look for it, you can. I can assure you.
I mean, I have more stuff to get to. These are super easy for the audience to go look up anyway, so they're more than welcome to. So, my second thing would be, I guess, meditation. So meditation, I don't know if you're aware of, but the idea that human beings can tap into different types of brainwave states that then produce different types of energies that are coming from the brain. I think that would then prove that, again, our vessel as human beings reacts with multidimensional understandings that animals just don't align with.
How do you go from meditation can cause a change in the status of your brainwaves? Like you can go from alpha to beta to it's delta, I think is the next one, not gamma. But there are different brainwave patterns, and then meditation can cause a change in those. Yep. How do you go from that to you're tapping into different energies to therefore there are extra dimensions that animals don't have access to? How are you connecting those dots?
Because when people lower themselves into a lower brainwave state, their brains actually produce.
Back up. What do you mean by lower brainwave state?
I'm talking about, so when we wake up in the morning, we're going throughout our day.
Yeah.
Beta, that would be the normal brainwave state that we're in. Below that is alpha, and then you get into theta, which is like a deep REM sleep, and then you have delta and gamma. And delta and gamma
so what makes one lower than the other?
It's just slower. It's more impactful,
okay,
I would say.
You're talking about the frequency of the oscillations, perhaps.
Correct. Yes.
Okay. So when you go from a higher frequency, like the oscillations of your electromagnetic or of your brainwaves, which are things for everybody who's watching, these are things. Brainwaves are an actual thing that you can measure. When the frequency dips down, what happens next? What does this have to do with energies? Because I agree that meditation can change that behavior.
Well, yeah, I mean, I would actually tell you that if you took, like, I know that you have a bunch of study in the area that you work. If you took 3 days where you sat in a room alone, you got a box fan, you turn it up real loud, you got a mask, and you put it on. If you sat there for, let's say, 8 hours a day, okay, this is just 3 days. Now, mind you, all of your work, how much you've studied, you've done, has probably been years. If you did that for 3 days, you would find that your body can tap into other dimensions and that you can commune with other beings that would shatter.
Just to be clear,
yeah.
What's the evidence for any of this?
Of what you're doing. What's that?
What's the evidence that any of this is true?
I mean, this has happened to. I mean, this has happened to people all throughout the world. I mean, are you saying that my evidence would be that it would be chemical rather than spiritual, or what do you mean?
I don't even know. Like, you're saying that there's extra dimensions. What are the grounds for thinking that there are extra dimensions?
I mean, like a 4D, 5D, and 6D state?
Did you say state or space?
Space.
Yeah, what is the evidence that such things exist? That there are
I would say
four spatial
that, I would
dimensions
say
that you
that
can
most
access?
modern scientists, I think that most scientists believe that.
Okay, could you name me
if
like
we
3?
even were... What's up?
Could you name me 3?
No, I wouldn't be able to name you scientists.
So the scientists who believe this are string theorists.
Okay.
That's it. And they're a tiny, tiny minority.
Well, what would you say about CERN? Have you heard of CERN before?
Yes.
Okay.
I know people who work there.
Okay, yeah,
CERN,
so when...
most of the people at CERN don't believe in extra dimensions.
Really?
Vast majority. There are some string theorists who work at CERN in the theory division. So you will have some string theorists who think that there are extra dimensions, but most of them are not. Most of them are not in the string theory or in the theory division. And of those in the theory division, most of them are not string theorists.
I would say that maybe not the workers, but I would say the oligarchs over that company. I mean,
it's not a company. It's like a trans-governmental organization, but.
Well, no, it's not. I mean, it has its own totem. It has its own. I mean, it's I forgot what it's called. Its brand, its logo is Shiva, which is a religious artifact doing her dance of death.
To be clear, that's not its brand. It's not its symbol. What you're referring to is a gift that was given by the Indian government to CERN, and then they display the gift.
Yeah,
this isn't like CERN's totem or symbol or logo.
Well, it's as soon as they walk in, that's what you see. And every single ideology of them coming...
How big... Wait, do you think that CERN is one building?
No, CERN is a ginormous building. It's so big that they had to create the
where are they walking in?
This is at the main grounds of their entry path.
Do you know how big the main grounds are? So, by the way, apparently
had to
this statue, and I just double-checked this statue is displayed between buildings 39 and 40.
Okay, so why would they have a religious artifact that's representing or on their ground?
By the Indian government.
Okay, so just if someone gifts somebody, that doesn't mean that necessarily that they have to put it on their building.
It's a beautiful statue. Why wouldn't they?
It's a beautiful statue. It's Shiva doing the dance of destruction before she destroys the world.
Wait, so are you telling me that the statue is not an excellent piece of art?
No, I would never.
You don't think that? And I'm just showing everybody.
If you had a statue of a woman,
that this is like a beautiful piece of art. Like I think this is like incredible.
If you had a woman cutting open a baby and bleeding, and that was a statue, give it to you, would that be a beautiful piece of art?
Well,
that you would want to hang up in your house?
It depends on the quality of the art, but to be clear, the statue is not destroying the world. The statue is
it's her dance of death.
To be clear, it's not. Okay. It's depicting the cosmic dance, which symbolizes the eternal cycle of creation, preservation,
exactly,
and destruction.
Which she destroys the cosmos.
And creation and preservation. A cycle, if you will. It's almost like CERN is two overlapping circles, or several overlapping circles. So a cycle would be a good symbol for that.
I mean, yeah, a cycle would be a good area of the cycle.
So
you know that.
Do you know that they would wear a cross?
Do you know that they would be submitting to a being creating a universe within your own understanding of that, right? Do I wear a cross?
Yeah.
No, I do not.
But do you think that when people do wear crosses, it's disgusting because it's literally a torture device?
No.
Okay, why not?
Because the aftermath of it is victory. It's setting human beings free from enslavement and sin that they've done from the very beginning.
But it's a depiction of a torture device.
Right. Yeah. Depiction of a torture device that was necessary to free all humanity.
Okay, and what the statue of Shiva is depicting is an eternal cycle of creation, preservation, and destruction, meaning that destruction is necessary for subsequent creation.
To universes, not to human beings at all. It's anti-human.
Okay, but the point is it's still describing a necessary part of it is a necessary destruction for the next creation.
Wait, why do you say it's necessary?
It's because it's an eternal cycle.
It's an eternal cycle. So now, you're believing that the universe is eternal.
No, I don't believe that. That's the Hindu position regarding the statue of Shiva.
Okay.
So this statue is not representing something destructive any more than the cross is representing something about torture. No. It's about it's representing a cycle. It's about representing rebirth. This is by the way, this is like obviously derangement on your part. Like you're having like some, I don't know, some Hindu derangement syndrome or something, because this is.
We got to the personal attacks.
No, I mean, like if they were displaying a cross, you wouldn't have a problem with it.
No, so I'll explain it to you. Listen, I'll take my derangement. I'll lower it down for you real quick. I'll make this simple. When she's destroying the earth, and that means that every single creation that has ever been happening, it dies. Jesus came to set humanity, his creation, free, and was put on a cross for doing so. Those are two completely different stories, and why one is moral and one is not moral. That's my argument.
Okay, cool argument. This isn't your objections, your offense at the Shiva statue is unrelated to the claim that somehow Shiva the Destroyer is somehow Shiva the Destroyer. No, I'm just bringing us back to where we started because
I would too if I was you. I'd bring us back.
Look, if you want to keep talking about this, like you could mention how Jesus is going to come back, and then what is he going to do? Well, there's going to be an enormous battle where many die and are thrown into a fiire. So I don't know. Does that seem super? Yeah, and whether or not you think the cross is whether you think the cross is some loving symbol or whether you think it's just a torture device also depends on your theology. The cross is the most loving
symbol that's ever happened.
Okay, well, that depends on your theology, right? Just like how your view of Shiva depends on your theology. So rather than being hypocritical, why not just recognize that some people aren't going to view the Shiva statue the way you will, and nor does the existence of the Shiva statue have anything to do with CERN endorsing Hinduism.
Okay, so I didn't say that had anything to do with endorsing Hinduism.
You said that Shiva was their logo.
Correct. They have a statue of Shiva on their grounds.
But which is false, by the way. Do you want to know what the CERN logo is? And you're going to crash out when you see it, by the way.
It's 666.
There you go. Okay, so I'm just going to show this to everybody, so then we can go over it together.
Look at it, guys! Take a look!
This is the CERN logo. This is the CERN logo. I'm showing everybody. So if it was 666, how many circles would there be? Harbinger?
Yeah.
How many circles are in how many circles are in a single 6?
Huh? How many circles are in what? I don't have it pulled up on my side.
No, I'm just asking you about the number 6. How many circles are there in the number 6?
There's one circle. Are you trying to say that this is not 666?
Now how many circles are in CERN's logo, and you're not looking at it. I'm looking at it right now. Everybody who's watching the live is currently looking at it. There are 2 circles in CERN's logo.
Right.
So it can't be 666. Yeah. Now, how many tails is in the number 6?
You understand that in
Please answer the question. How many tails is in the number 6?
There's no tail.
There's 1 tail. It's the part that comes up off the circle, right? Now, I don't know if, again, you're not looking at it, but everybody's here. So in 666, there would be 3 tails, right?
Everybody can use
it turns out we can actually count the number of tails in this diagram. There's 1 tail, 2 tail, 3 tail, 4 tail, 5 tail. So we have 2 circles, 5 tails, and somehow you're getting 3 6s.
Okay, so do you know how sacred geometry works?
I know that it's kind of bullshit.
Okay, so you don't believe in sacred? You don't believe that shapes or symbolisms carry a frequency with them?
No.
No. Okay. I'm just saying, like
there's only the most uncharitable interpretation of the CERN logo could interpret it as 666. There are 5 tails, 2 circles. One of them's upside down, by the way.
If you're
so
going,
maybe it looks like, maybe you could read it as like a 69. That would be funny, or a 96. But there's no way to interpret it as a 666 without being maximally uncharitable.
Yeah. How sacred geometry works is that it doesn't have to be tit for tat. So, for example, if you go to the Satanist logo, you're going to see a goat in between a pentagram. That pentagram can be optimized to do different things, different tails, different types of variances within lines, all the above. The point is the message. Now, obviously, you're not going to believe that point because you're coming from a atheistic background. Where
yeah, just like how you wouldn't believe that a cross is a torture device, not a symbol of love.
We've already been over that.
Right, but the point is you're interpreting CERN's logo through your delusional lens of like Christian theology or Christian, end times theology.
Wait,
or
how am I interpreting?
And,
how am I interpreting?
Yeah, because you're reading something into it that's not actually there, right? It's the same way that you read into the Shiva statue.
Logo? Are you talking about the Shiva logo, or are you talking about CERN?
Well, Shiva's not the logo. The Shiva, you did the same thing with the Shiva statue. Now you're doing the same thing with the CERN logo.
Okay, are you talking about the CERN logo, or are you talking about the Shiva statue?
I'm saying that you did the same thing with the Shiva logo as you are currently doing with the CERN logo, which is imposing your own reading based off of your own Christian end times theology. That
I don't have an end times theology. You're the one that's putting that.
This is something satanic, right?
Yeah, so you're putting that in my box. View. I never said that that's my end time theology. First of all, I'm not going to die.
I'll just say your Christian theology, then fine. Your Christian theology is causing you to falsely or incorrectly interpret what these logos, what the Shiva statue represents.
Okay, so Shiva is exactly how I interpreted it. That's not a
that you think, or in the same way that I or a Hindu might think that a cross is a symbol of hate and torture, because we are interpreting that symbol through a different lens than you are. You understand that? You understand the distinction that I'm making? Yes, no, maybe so? Can't hear you. You there, Harbinger? Harbinger? I can't hear you if you're talking. So, by the way, just for because he's still here, he can still hear me. I just want to read. This is from 2004 when CERN unveiled the statue that was gifted. I just want to read a little blurb about it. The statue is a gift from India celebrating CERN's long association with India, which started in the 1960s and continues strongly today. It was unveiled by the Director General, Dr. Robert Amar, His Excellency Mr. K.M. Chandrasekhar, Ambassador, and Dr. Anil Kadokar, Chairman of the Atomic Energy Commission and Secretary, Department of Atomic Energy, India.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
I'm back. I just got raptured for a second. Sorry, Jesus came back. I'm here, though.
Okay, I'm just going to finish reading this really quick because I was in the middle of it.
Okay, go ahead.
In Hindu religion, this form of the dancing Lord Shiva is known as the Nataraj and symbolizes Shakti, or life force. As a plaque alongside the statue explains, the belief is that Lord Shiva danced the universe into existence, motivates it, and will eventually extinguish it. Carl Sagan drew the metaphor between the cosmic dance of Nataraj and the modern study of the cosmic dance of subatomic particles. And then it goes on to explain how it was made, you know, using a wax model and so on and so forth. So the reason why it's displayed is because of a metaphor that Carl Sagan drew between the cosmic dance of the universe as described in Hindu belief systems and the cosmic dance, big air quotes, of subatomic particles. That's why it's there.
Wait, so I think that you skipped over something a little bit.
No, I read it word for word.
I know. I'm saying you read it a little bit fast there when it said that it would put an end to that universe as well. You remember that part?
Well,
so it's exactly what I'm saying it was.
I didn't skip over that part. It doesn't say that. It says, and will eventually extinguish it. I didn't read that fast. You may have just thought slowly.
What does that mean? It means destroy everything.
Yeah, that's what the belief is about Lord Shiva. That it danced the universe, that Lord Shiva danced the universe into existence, motivates it, and will eventually extinguish it. Carl Sagan drew the metaphor between the cosmic dance of the Nataraj and the modern study of the cosmic dance of subatomic particles.
Right. So, I understand this. It goes back to my point that it's morally corrupt. That's my point.
Oh, you think it's morally corrupt to do science?
Yes,
is that what you're telling me?
To exterminate.
Do you think it's morally corrupt to do science?
Well, first of all, wait, hold on one second.
Because you're making the claim that CERN is morally corrupt, right?
Wait, hold on. Let me make my point.
Yeah.
The point of this is saying, yes, if you're going to exalt a being that is going to destroy all of humanity, then yes, that is a moral. Every creation that's ever been. Here, we'll do that. That is morally corrupt. Now, if you want to go into morality,
that's a wild claim, considering that I imagine. Do you think that everybody goes to heaven?
No.
Okay, that's a wild claim from somebody who thinks that this creator being that you think is God, and you know some people think that it's Shiva. You think that the creator being is not only going to not let people cease to exist, but is actually going to torture some people for eternity.
No, that's totally. I don't know where you got that theology, but I'll tell you that most string theorists don't.
Not everybody goes to heaven, right?
Most string theorists in Christianity don't believe that. That's a fringe ideology.
Okay, so do you believe that hell exists?
What do I leave? Yeah. So what you're saying is totally wrong, and I'll tell you where it's wrong. Shiva.
Okay, so you don't believe that hell exists. Wait, you're not going to address that, are you? No, he's going to dodge it. He's going to dodge the whole conversation.
Listen, what I'll do, I'll answer your questions, but then I get to explain my answer. Okay.
Sure.
Yes, I believe hell exists.
Okay. So you agree that people are going to be tortured forever?
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Well, I mean,
that seems morally repugnant to me.
No. Now, can I explain my answer?
It's fundamentally disgusting. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so I answered to your question. So no one's getting forced to go to hell. I think that's where you're confused here. One, it's up for debate if hell is eternal or if there is a final end where people cease to exist. I'm not going to propagate that on a huge page with a whole bunch of people to teach different theologies.
Wait a minute.
What I will say,
do you think it's okay for people to just cease to exist?
I think people can have free will if they want to. The difference is Shiva is Shiva Inu. No, Shiva is going to destroy the world regardless of what anybody cares and robs them of their free will because she's going to do it. The difference with Christianity is that we sinned and we have fallen out of morality.
What do you mean we sinned? You can't be born with sin.
Brother, I think that you're awesome. Just let me finish real quick. The difference is that what Christ came to do was that we sinned and he came to give us a life preserver. The thing is that God and his being in and of himself is all good. He encompasses all things good, all things moral, all things perfect. If you reject him, if you don't want anything to do with him, then you're going to wind up in a place that has none of him, which, irresponsibly, is everything evil. Now, that is not God's will for your life. His will is that you're in relationship with him and that he loves you and you walk out this whole thing forgiven, have peace, love, joy, purpose, all the above. But he's not going to force anybody to spend time near him if he doesn't. And so in this situation, you have the free will and opportunity to go to hell if you would like to. I would say don't do it. I don't think that's a good bet. but he is not going to force anybody to do so like Shiva would.
Shiva doesn't force anybody to go to hell. I actually
Shiva
don't know the Hindu
destroys
mythology, so
them.
maybe, or the Hindu faith. So maybe Shiva actually does, but I don't know what the Hindu position on hell is.
She's taking away someone's free will and causing them to not exist on this plane anymore. We can settle at that. We don't have to bring up the hell ideology.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that like an eternal cycle of birth, motion, and death is actually quite beautiful.
Well, yeah, if there's something after it.
I don't think that you need something after it in order for it to be beautiful.
Okay, so where do you get your lens of morality from then? If
From
something is
the
like
values instilled in me as a child.
Okay, so you're making all these moral claims about what is good, what is
clear,
bad.
You were also making moral claims.
Correct, because I have an objective moral view. Correct.
Oh, no, you don't.
I totally agree.
Your morals are based off of what God prefers.
Yeah, which is objective, which doesn't change.
No, that's subjective because they're based on God's preferences.
No, if preferences don't change, by definition, that's an objective preference.
that's not what objective means. Objective means stance independent. It means
subjective is open for interpretation and can shift and move within the tides of...
No, that's not what subjective means, but I would understand that that's what you would think it means if you've only ever listened to your pastor. No, subjective means that it is mind or stance dependent.
Look it up.
Yeah, I can.
Yeah. So objective morale. Okay, so let's just go. Let's say, how do you determine, without arguing over stuff that we can argue about just for argument's sake, how can you argue what is good, what is beautiful, and what is altogether perfect?
I never said the word perfect, but that's fine. You can go ahead and put words in my mouth.
Come on, brother. I mean, you're not going to be silly like that, are you? You understand what I'm saying. I'm not trying to misrepresent you.
Okay,
I'm just saying.
I didn't say perfect.
Okay. Crowd, he didn't say perfect. Okay, so you tell me where you get the understanding morally for a good outlook on your life.
Yeah, so I have values that were instilled within me, I guess, is the right word, when I was a child.
Okay.
And those values have, obviously they've perhaps slightly changed over time as, I've grown older and understood the world more. But those values are the basis for my morality. Now, where did God get God's values?
God, and through 66 books he did this. He did something that no other book has the ability to do. He spoke to men in various different places, times, all throughout the world. Wait, I am. I
asked where did God get God's values?
Where did God? He's eternal. He's always had them. He's outside space and time.
Okay, but these are just God's values? Just things that God,
I don't know
God
if you're
likes?
trying to make a semantic argument about what values would be rather than character. I would determine it more so as character.
Okay, I mean, so I think that character probably informs values, but I think values are those things that you value, right?
Yeah, which we understand it to be good. Yeah, I mean, you could have a value
it
that...
It doesn't have to be it doesn't have to be good or bad. You could also value not being hungry, for example. And
right, yeah, or value stealing something.
Values are related to preferences, right?
Right, You're going
off of
talking
God's
about
preferences. I'm going off of my preferences. It seems like they're both subjective.
Okay, I would argue that if you are a understanding historical and orthodox Christian, you're going to follow the precepts and ordinances outlined by God in the Bible.
Yeah,
and it doesn't matter.
You're just following some guy's preferences. That's all.
Well, first of all, I wouldn't call God just a guy, but.
Well, wait a minute. I thought Jesus was God. Was Jesus not a guy? Yeah,
in personhood, not in essence.
Okay, so
in essence, he was the
creator. So you are just following some guy's preferences.
Okay, come. You didn't listen to what I said. In personhood, yes. In essence, no.
Okay, so Jesus was not a guy.
God. He was man and God.
Okay,
he was
so
fully man.
Are all men guys?
No, because their essence isn't the creator.
Wait, so
they're not the creator
not
themselves.
All men are guys. Based trans ally. Let's go.
Okay, no. Yeah. Okay, I'm jumping to your argument here. Yes, all men are guys. That would be
Jesus
correct.
is a man, right?
That's where you're wrong, brother. Again,
Jesus is not a man.
This is what string theory people hold by. It's just a fringe of people. No.
Wait, so is Jesus
this
a man?
What's happening is Jesus is man, and you can't forget the and.
Okay. Well,
and God.
And doesn't mean that he's not man. So if he is a man,
it doesn't mean that he's just that. You can't. Okay, I don't know why this is.
I don't know why you're struggling with this. I just said like
Someone
Jesus
is-
was a guy. Obviously, he was a guy.
Okay, if somebody is man and God, it then does not mean they are just man.
I didn't
Does that
say
make sense?
just man.
You said just the guy. You're following a guy.
I said some guy.
Okay, so if you want to be correct and accurate, you would say some guy, also God.
Wait, if I
That's
say
what you
that the
would say.
fire truck is big, am I inaccurate for not also saying it's red?
That has nothing to do with what personhood is.
No,
If
you're,
the
no,
fire
you're just
truck was fire truck, but it
you're
was
mad that
also
I
a
did. You're
bicycle?
mad that I referred to Jesus as some guy because I didn't say
Wait,
some
I'm not-
guy also man, right? Like you're just mad that I didn't
Brother, I'm not-
didn't
I'm not
include
mad.
all of the
Wait, where
details
were
of
we
your
at
belief.
before? I think we lost our way.
Yeah.
So
So the
when
claim
I'm-
is you think that like CERN is morally
No,
repugnant.
the claim
right?
is about morality, and your morality is saying, hey, I would say that an Orthodox historical Christian, regardless of what you feel, because your ideology is saying, these are the things that are instilled in me as a kid. I was taught them from other people. I've changed my
Probably
understanding
some of
with
them are
some.
intrinsic, but sure.
Okay, whoa. What do you mean intrinsic?
Like as in they're built into human psychology by our DNA.
Well, and what's okay? I'll go through. We'll come back to that. I need you to hold that right there. But your understanding is that both of them. My argument is saying if you are a understanding Orthodox Christian, then regardless of what your feelings or your logistical viewpoints on how the world works, if it goes against the biblical, against our feelings, to understand what true morality is.
Subjective doesn't mean that it's internal.
Subjective means it's constantly changing from a different perspective or viewpoint.
That's literally not what subjective means. At least the way that I'm using it and the way that philosophers use it is that it is mind and or stance independent.
Okay, well, let's
Sorry,
make up
mind
a
or stance
different term.
dependent, I should say. Not
This is just a
stance independent.
semantic argument. I think you know what I'm trying to say, and I think the crowd knows what I'm trying to say.
But the point is
how do you
your
understand
morality comes from the preferences of God. My morality comes from my preferences. At the end of the day, they both come from preferences.
Right, which your preferences are constantly moving and shifting or have the ability to. God's doesn't.
Okay.
That's the difference.
So, so if my preferences never changed, then that would mean that my morality is just as good as your morality.
No, I would say that they're not good because they don't come from God.
Okay.
So what you're saying,
what I mean is just as should be taken seriously, not like moral. I don't mean good in that sense. I mean like we should take it just as seriously.
I don't think that's possible. I don't think you can say I've never changed my mind anything about any type of moral stance as long as I lived. But if you did, you could then say I have an objective worldview. It doesn't make it right, but you could say that it is.
So my values could be objective even if they're just my values.
If they're not moving.
Yeah, you think that
if
unchanging
claiming...
is the same as okay? This is a crazy definition of objective, but yeah, for your sake, absolutely, I agree that my values have the possibility of changing. Your values, based on God's, don't. So it seems
why
like
do you have
I would actually rather have values that have the possibility of changing because then I can go from then if I lived long enough, I could go from thinking that slavery is okay to thinking that slavery is not okay.
Right, which Christians, by the way, freed. I just want you to know that there's been slavery
Christians also took the slaves, by the way.
There's slavery on every single continent in history known to man. The only people, the prohibition that actually ended slavery.
That's not true, by the way. There was a Chinese emperor that prohibited slavery during his reign in the 13th century.
Okay, I wonder what is his ideology.
He was probably Confucian.
Oh, maybe. Maybe
I can go look him up if you want.
The only reason why you would end slavery is because that you believe that every man. The only reason why you would end slavery is because you believe that every man and woman are equal and created in God's image.
No,
that is substantially.
You don't have to believe in God in order to think that everybody's equal.
What? Okay, well, where do you get your ideology, dude? That's where we're coming from. You're saying you're saying
the
I'm
only
the
reason that you would ever free slaves is if you think everybody's equal, which fair. And that everybody was created in the image of God. No, you don't have to think that everybody's. It's not inherent in thinking that everybody's equal.
Yeah, that is inherently a
Maybe
Christian
for you,
ideology.
But it's absolutely not. Thinking that everybody's equal, it's not inherently
dude,
Christian.
I don't understand. You can't argue this because you're saying you learned your ideology from people and experiences in life. Yours is constantly changing. Why are you going to tell me?
Well, you're just mistaken. You're just mistaken if you think that the only way you can get the ideology of equality is from Christianity. It's just not the case.
Tell me another religion that believes that.
I mean, there are philosophical traditions that are not religions.
Wait, in atheism, you don't believe that we have any more intrinsic value than a bug or a leaf. How are you going to then say that human beings are equal?
I'm sorry, what was the straw man that you just said? I tuned it out because it was going to cause me damage. Go ahead.
You know what I like? You get funnier as this goes on, which I can appreciate.
I'm glad.
What I'm saying is that if you believe, okay, so again, let me not straw man you. Let's say we came from a big bang and a cosmic soup dish ended up evolving.
I'm not going to straw man you. It's just a cosmic soup dish. Are you really trying to avoid straw manning me, or is?
Okay, yeah. You're right. That's my bad. Okay, the macro evolution is how we got to human beings, correct?
Sure.
Okay, so what intrinsic value does a human being hold over a cricket?
So I don't think that there's intrinsic value in stuff at all. I think that we assign
people
value.
Aren't equal. What makes people have value?
I think that we assign value. I don't think that's intrinsic. I think it's extrinsic.
So you're saying we only have value based upon what other people assign value. So if I say that an African American has less value than me, does that make it true?
No, you're confused. I don't think that value is a thing that people have.
Okay.
I don't think value is a thing that people have. I think value is a thing that people assign. So
you're saying human beings have no value. That's what you're saying.
No, it's not what I'm saying at all. When I say
then how do we?
When I say that, I will explain if you just let me finish.
I'll be quiet.
When I say that I value, or I think all humans are equally valuable, what that means is I assign to each human the same level of value. That's like a thing that's happening in my head. It's not saying that there is some intrinsic property of humans that they're all the same.
Can you back up 10 seconds? Say that over again.
Sure. Yeah. So when I say that I think that all humans are equally valuable, what I'm saying is that I assign, in my head, I assign to each person the same value. It's not saying that I think that each person has an intrinsic property, independent of everybody else, that is the same for each person. This is a thing that happens in my head. Other people, arguably people that I would think are bad people, think that that humans are not equally valuable, and because they assign value differently than I do.
Which one is right?
Me, obviously.
Me.
By the way, and just so we can back up to where we were, Hinduism, Buddhism, and Taoism all treat or all view all living things as being equally valuable. So it's not uniquely Christian.
Yeah. They don't. Okay, correct. Equally valuable. They think that cows are more sacred than human beings because it goes through karma. And I understand that you have Chat GPT there. Let's just keep it within this conversation.
No, this is actually Gemini. I was just checking which.
Oh, gotcha.
Which belief systems also
I could do that too, right? I could pull.
Yeah, you could. I mean, look. So I was fact checking your claim that this was uniquely Christian because I knew for a fact it wasn't, but I didn't know specifically which religious traditions
it is uniquely Christian. Okay. Let me explain.
Oh no,
there's a caste system within Hinduism and Buddhism, which means that if you live out your life and you do good acts,
Buddhism doesn't necessarily have a caste system.
Yes, it does. What are you talking about?
Oh my gosh, guys,
Buddhism.
Do you think that there's a caste system in Thailand?
Huh?
Do you think that there's a caste system in Thailand?
You're talking about sects of Buddhism that don't even believe what the core teachings of
Buddhism is one of the most widely practiced branch of Buddhism, and they don't have a caste system.
Buddhism is the philosophy.
Buddhism is not one philosophy. It's a branch of philosophies.
Okay, brother. Okay, let's just talk. I could say to you that there's Christian sects that don't believe that Jesus is God and that you should preach holding snakes, right? That's not what I'm going to argue on because that's not the mainstream view of what that religion actually is.
Buddhism.
Buddhism has a caste system that has to equal out karma.
Where's the evidence for this claim?
It's online. People can look it up.
Okay, do you want me to Google it? I can Google it right now for you. We can do it.
It's where the terminology sacred cow comes from.
No, that's Hinduism, my guy. I'm just typing in, does Buddhism have a caste system? Let's find out. No, Buddhism does not have a caste system. The founder, Siddhartha Gautama, explicitly rejected the rigid social stratification that was prevalent in ancient India. Instead, he taught that spiritual purity and a person's worth are determined by their individual actions and moral character, not by the circumstances of their birth.
Mm-hmm.
So no, you're just wrong. You're just like making stuff up.
It's a break off. It says both religions share concepts such as karma, rebirth,
yeah.
and the
not a caste
pursuit of
system.
liberation.
None of those are caste systems.
Hinduism is.
So Hinduism traditionally does have a caste system, yeah. But Hinduism isn't Buddhism.
The idea that both Buddhism and Hinduism hold is that you have karma. Your good deeds outweigh your bad deeds. Let's just say in Hinduism,
so there's no caste system in Buddhism, right? We agree. You just like made
I
that
would
up.
I would say that Buddhism and Hinduism are a blurred line in and of the same religion.
No, they are different religious traditions.
I know that they're different religions.
I could say
just
that Judaism
like
and Christianity and Islam are just, there's a blurred line.
No. It would be the same as saying Mormon and Christianity.
No,
it's the same archetype. It's
Islam
just a different split of the same archetype.
No, I mean, Islam and Christianity are the same archetype.
No, they're not.
Yeah, they're both monotheistic traditions that rely on mystery to explain the unexplained.
Rely on mystery. Where are you getting this ideology? Wait, first of all, and how would that even connect?
You don't think that divine mystery is a thing in Christianity?
I reject your definition of saying that's like saying gum and metal are the same thing.
They also have basis in Abrahamic faiths, or they're also Abrahamic faiths. So in fact, they're like almost identically related.
Type this into Gemini faster because it's not working out. No, sorry, they're not the same Abrahamic faith because the God of Abraham.
There's just a blurred line between them.
There's not a blurred line. There would be a blurred line between Mormonism and Christianity, not Islam.
No, there's a blurred line between Islam and Christianity. You just don't like it because you don't view you just don't view Muslims as part of the same religious tradition as you.
Everybody in the chat can see you're doing
in the same way that Buddhists don't view strict Buddhists don't view Hinduism as the same religious tradition.
Strict Buddhists, no, correct. But Buddhism and Hinduism are spliffs.
There's overlap. There's overlap between. No, it's not a split.
Yeah, because Buddhism came from Hinduism.
Yeah, and Islam came from Christianity and Judaism. No, Christianity came from Judaism. It absolutely did.
No, brother. If
you don't think Islam came from Christianity and Judaism?
Christianity, then we'd all be Islamic.
You don't
it didn't come from Christianity.
Wait. You don't think that Islam came from Christianity and Judaism? I don't know what to tell you, guy.
Wait, you're saying what?
You don't think that Islam came from Christianity and Judaism? You know that they have all the same origin stories, right?
The same? No. Islam came from a false prophet that got demonized and got visions in a cave.
No, you're thinking of Christianity. Christianity came from a false prophet.
Oh, come on.
Got demonized
stop taking the cheap shots.
Tradition.
Stop taking the cheap shots. Let's go back to the conversation. Christianity.
Did Christianity come from Judaism?
I would question what you're saying come from.
Whatever the sense that you're using to refer to Buddhism coming from Hinduism, whatever that sense is, did Christianity come from Judaism?
No, because I would say that now Christianity is completely different than
I'm asking not
Judaism.
What it is now. I'm asking where did it come from? If you're talking, I can't hear you.
Oh, can you hear me?
I can now. Where did it come from?
Okay, it came from Abraham that were passed down to disciples that then were fulfilled by Jesus when he came.
What religion was Jesus?
Oh, are you there?
I can hear you. What religion was Jesus? Harbinger. Harbinger. I can't hear you. I don't know if you're talking. Maybe he got raptured again. Harbinger, where are you? Wait, you can hear him? Can you guys hear him? No, if you could hear him, I would know, because, yeah. I would know. Oh, he left. Okay. Well, that was quite a long crash out, if I do say so. Oh, no, he's back. He's back. I can hear you now.
Wait, can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Oh my gosh! See, I don't know how you don't believe God's real, brother. Dude, I'm telling you, the Lord, he's just picking me up and then putting me back down. I think you should believe in God. Dude.
He's like, I'm gonna rapture you. You're one of the chosen one. He's like, oh wait, no, I didn't mean you.
Right? Yeah, no. He said I need to go shower before I get into heaven.
Right,
so I'm
makes
back
sense.
here.
So Harbinger, what religion was Jesus?
Okay, so I understand. I will concede your point that it came from this religion. My point is that now Christianity and Judaism have nothing to do with each other.
Well, sure, I'll grant that. The only reason I ask
that's
this,
my only point. That's my
the
only
only
point.
reason I ask this is because you said that if Islam came from Christianity, then we would all be Muslim. But that's obviously not the case, because if Christianity came from Judaism, you would then say, oh well, we'd all be Christian. But no, they're still Jewish people, right?
No. So the idea is that Islam came after Christianity, and it makes claims about the Old Testament and the New Testament that aren't true. Rather, as Christianity doesn't make
that's what you think.
It doesn't make claims about the Old Testament that isn't true.
Oh, sure it does. So, it makes like so many, and you could go talk
okay,
to my buddy Justin about that. But that's neither here nor there.
I understand you're going to disagree with that because you're an atheist, right? I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah.
What I'm saying from a
but
traditional
also critical
viewpoint
scholars also disagree with it. Like people who study the Bible as their
brother,
as their job,
I could give you
they disagree with it
critical
too.
scholars that would absolutely destroy you in every single way, shape, and form.
Critical scholars agree with me generally.
Oh, really? Like who? Like William Lane Craig, like Wes Huff,
William Lane
Cliff
Craig. Neither of those
Connectley?
are critical scholars.
Yeah, they are. What are you
Critical
talking
scholarship
about?
is a certain branch of biblical scholarship, where you examine what the
which William Lane Craig is
text.
one.
No, he's not. He's a philosopher. He's not a critical scholar of the Bible. A
Which
critical
you
scholar
have-
is a particular branch of like biblical literary studies.
Do they agree with you on? What do you say they
use
agree
the
with you on?
text? They use the text and the surrounding context to try to determine what was intended by the authors. Right, and so like critical scholars will like just absolutely agree with me that yeah, the authors of the Hebrew Bible were not talking about Jesus. Jesus shows up nowhere.
Really?
In the Hebrew Bible, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, this is a later Christian imposition.
You've never read Isaiah 53 or 54?
Oh, I have, but you should talk to my friend Justin about this. He's a former pastor.
Really?
Or an
A guy
ex-pastor,
that's
yeah.
going to take on the sins of the world and ride into a city on a donkey? You don't think that explains Jesus at all?
Wait a minute. I'm just curious. How many did Jesus ride into on a foal and an ass? How many donkeys did Jesus ride into town on?
I'm under the assumption it was one.
No, it was two.
Well, that's because he. I was just gonna say a joke. That's because he.
Let me pull it up for you.
If you're the son of God, you might as well take two donkeys. Know what I'm saying? I've never heard
but
two
the reason
donkeys
why that was
before.
written in this, by the way, this is in Matthew. The reason why.
Wait. Where's your claim at, real quick? That he ran in on two donkeys. Where's your evidence for that?
Yeah. It's Matthew. I believe it's Matthew 21. I can pull up the verse for you, or I can pull up the chapter. We can go find the verse.
You're the internet guy. You got all this stuff.
Yeah, I'm pulling it up right now.
Go ahead.
Okay, so is it 21? Okay. So go to the village ahead of you, and at once you will find a donkey tied there. Go to the village ahead of you, and at once you will find this is verse 2, by the way. At once you will find a donkey tied there with her colt by her. Untie them and bring them to me. If anyone says anything to you, say that the Lord needs them and he will send them right away. This took place to fulfill what was spoken through the prophet. Say to daughter Zion, see your king comes to you gentle and riding on a donkey and on a colt, the foal of a donkey. The disciples went and did as Jesus had instructed them. They brought the donkey and the colt and placed their cloaks on them for Jesus to sit on. A very large crowd spread their cloaks on the road while others cut branches from trees and spread them on the blah, blah, blah. So they put their cloaks on both donkeys, and then he rode on top of that, right?
He disproved Christianity.
Well, but
there you go. Clearly, it couldn't have just been that at sometimes he was on a donkey and sometimes he was on a colt, right? That's not.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that. The point is the people who wrote Matthew, or the person who wrote Matthew, depending on how you interpret it, was misinterpreting Zechariah. Zechariah was only referring, the prophecy was only about one donkey. They just misread it.
Brother, he said that it was on a colt and on a donkey. I'm sure there's
right, but that's not what it says in Zechariah.
It says that he was on a donkey.
It says he was on one.
It didn't say, okay, even if it did
Not
say
on two.
one, this is not saying that there were two donkeys.
No, there's no two donkeys in Zechariah.
Brother.
So Zechariah 9:9 says, "Rejoice greatly, daughter of Zion! Shout, daughter of Jerusalem! See, your king comes to you, righteous and victorious, lowly and riding on a donkey, on a colt, the foal of a donkey." So the king is riding on a colt. A colt happens to be the foal of a donkey, but there's no two donkeys that are being ridden on.
Yeah, brother.
They just misread Zechariah 9:9.
This could easily be explained by within the trek that he took, he was on a colt, and then after he was on a donkey.
But the prophecy is only about one donkey. It's not about two. There's no two donkeys in the prophecy.
It didn't say that there had to be a colt, brother. It just said that he had to be on a donkey.
Yeah, that is what it says. That's what it says in Zechariah 9:9. A colt.
Brother, the exclusion of the information that he was on a colt does not make the prophecy wrong.
A colt is the foal of a donkey. There's only one donkey in the prophecy.
Okay, for everybody else, I know it's not just me. You tell me, because you got Gemini pulled up right for you.
Do you know what a colt is?
What's a foal of a colt? Foal of a donkey.
The foal of a donkey is a child, or it's like the offspring of a donkey, and a colt, I believe, is a male young donkey.
Type it in your Gemini that you have pulled up there to help you.
Let's pull it up. What is a colt? COLT. A young male horse. Okay, so it's a young male donkey, right? That's what's being described here.
No. A horse and a donkey are different, brother. A horse and a donkey are different.
Yeah, so the colt that's being referred to here.
GPT pulled up. I'd be beating you right now.
I can just show you this. I can just show you what I'm looking at. The colt that's being referred to here is the foal of a donkey, right?
Okay.
Right. So like,
because this is boring. I'm sure for your viewers.
It's not clear to me that like they knew the difference, that they like classified horses and donkeys as different things, as like different kinds of animals. So it's totally plausible that they would use a colt to describe both young male horses and young male donkeys. That seems like that's what's happening here, because it says a colt, the foal of a donkey. So it's exactly one donkey that's being ridden in, and yet Matthew describes it as two donkeys that are involved, because Matthew, the author of Matthew, misread the text.
Sorry, I was waking up. Okay, no, I think that great point, brother. You just
I'm glad that we agree. I'm glad that we agree that Matthew misrepresented or misread the text.
Easily disproved. Whoever's a scholar in understanding donkeys, you can let us know after this. What I want to go back to is your understanding. You're making claims of what's good and what's not good. And when I'm saying we got back to
back to you making the claim that CERN is morally repugnant.
You're going back to intrinsic value, and that's why we got into Buddhism. And your thing is that Buddhism and Hinduism it explains equal value to things. What you're saying is what's not true?
Assigns equal value to people.
Yeah, I mean, dude, you know you're not making points in the argument when you just tit for tat words, right? Like it's not like it's exactly what
I'm just like if you're going to represent me, you should represent me.
It's the exact same meaning.
Correctly.
So the fact that you can correct a word that I had the same meaning is not misrepresenting you. It's just thinking that you're more virtuous in front of a crowd when you're trying to make an argument. It's not. I mean, it's cute. You can keep doing it, but
okay, I'll keep doing it.
So the point of the matter is that Christianity and understanding that each human being has intrinsic value because they are in the likeness and image of God is vastly important for all civilizations of the earth. And what I'm saying is, how can you make
the idea of the Atman in Hinduism predates that.
Wait, let me finish, brother. Let me just finish, and then I'll give you all the talking time in the world.
Sure.
If that is true, you're making a lot of claims of what is good, what is not good, what is evil, what is not, and you're saying that you learn these from your own mindset and you becoming your own God on what is good and what isn't. I'm saying is how can you effectively stand on this viewpoint to grade what is good and what is not good and be accurate? If you're saying it's from things that you learn,
accurate. I don't think that there are facts of the matter.
You're what?
I don't think that there are facts of the matter of what is good. I don't think that there's like some fact of the matter that you could like measure objectively to determine whether or not something is good or bad. These are attitudes that we have towards things.
Okay, so you can't say that a baby being born and looking at it is a good thing. You can't make that claim.
So look, I can assign value or I can assign judgments to things, but I don't think that like, maybe I can clarify the position here. The position is something like humans assign value. We assign moral value. We assign other kinds of value as well. We assign these things. If there were no humans around, then there would be none of this, and assuming there's no aliens or anything, then there would just be none of this stuff that we call value. It's just not a part of the world. It's a part of the human representation of the world.
Right. We wouldn't observe the value, but the value.
No, I'm saying that it's not there at all.
Yeah, well, that's the difference.
That's my view. Yeah. My view is that value is a thing that we assign. It's not a thing intrinsic to the thing. It's not a factual component of the thing. What I'm saying is one of the most
dangerous ideologies ever come across the earth. Yeah, that your ideology says I can think of you because I assigned you a less value for me. Therefore, I'm going to enslave you and your whole family. Or
it's funny because the people who did the enslavement were theists.
What?
The people who did the slavery were theists. It's funny that you're like criticizing my worldview, like the atheist worldview, but the people who took the slaves were also Christian.
No, they pretended to be Christian.
They absolutely. This is a no true Scotsman fallacy, by the way.
Brother, if there is a battle versus good and evil, and there is two sides and two teams in this cosmic war that's been happening for thousands of years, what makes you think that posing for one team, but then showing the fruit and the morality of another team, wouldn't be a smart tactic?
Well, I mean, in the Bible it says that you can own slaves.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, it does. Do you want me to pull up the verse for you?
Go ahead,
I think it's Exodus 20. Exodus 21:25, is it?
Yeah, I'll tell you exactly what it is. It's indentured servanthood. We're paying people for services. We do that all the time still right now.
No, it's not indentured servitude, but we can pull it up. It's Exodus 21. Sorry, I can never keep these straight. So let's go to Exodus 21. Do you have a preferred translation? Are you a KJV only kind of guy, or?
No.
Okay. So can I just use like the NRSVU?
For what?
For my reading of Exodus 21.
Let me hold on 1 second. Can you use go ahead and use NASB. Let's go.
NRSVU.
NASB.
Oh, I don't know what the NASB, but do I have that translate? NASB with a B for boy?
Yeah, B for boy, yeah.
New American Standard Bible. Okay, we can pull that up. I don't know if this is a good translation, but that's fine. Okay, so I'm using the NASB, New American Standard Bible. This is Exodus 21. Now, these are the ordinances which you are set to to set before them. This is God talking. God's talking to Moses. He's saying, this is what you should tell the Israelites. These are their laws that I'm giving to you. I, God, am giving to Moses. If you buy a Hebrew slave, he shall serve for 6 years, but on the 7th he shall leave as a free man without a payment to you. That's good. We like that. That's something like indentured servitude. If he comes alone, he shall leave alone. If he is husband of a wife, then his wife shall leave with him. If his master gives him a wife, and she bears him sons or daughters, the wife and her children shall belong to her master, and he shall leave alone. Okay, that's a little bit weird, but let's keep reading. But if the plain slave...
No. Let me stop you right there.
No, we're going to keep reading because that's not the damning part, right?
That's so easy to discount. Yeah, that's so easy to disprove.
Well, but if the slave plainly says, "I love my let me pull this up so that people can see what I'm reading. But if the slave plainly says, "I love my master, my wife, and my children, I will not leave as a free man," then his master shall bring him to God. Then he shall bring him to the door or the doorpost, and his master shall pierce his ear with an awl, and he shall serve him permanently. So like if he wants to stay with his wife, he has to stay permanently. But okay, fine. Now, so this is about buying a Hebrew slave. Let's keep reading. Now, if a man sells his daughter as a female slave, she is not to go free as the male slaves do. So if somebody sells their daughter as a female slave, she can't go free ever. That's weird. If she is displeasing in the eyes of her master, who designated her for himself, then he shall let her be redeemed. Okay, so if she's ugly and the master doesn't like her, then the master has to let him go. He does not have authority to sell her to a foreign people because of his unfairness to her. And if he designates her for his son, he shall deal with her according to the custom of daughters. If he takes to himself another woman, he may not reduce her food, her clothing, or her conjugal rights. But if he will not do these 3 things for her, then she shall go free for nothing without payment of money. Okay, so this is about Hebrew daughters, right? And so now we have to go find the verse about, oh, I'm sorry, is this not 21? So we can talk about this, but this was the wrong chapter. There's one about the, let me find it, Exodus, foreign.
Brother,
no, it is. I'm sorry, is this, I just want to make sure I get the right chapter.
Brother, you know that all this doesn't matter though. If I was in your
Exodus
viewpoint,
20...
if I was in your viewpoint and I said,
I'm gonna get the book wrong because this isn't my my field of expertise, if you will. Is it Leviticus 25? It's Leviticus 25, isn't it? Yeah. Okay. Let's go to so that's how you deal with Hebrew slaves. So far Hebrew slaves seems kind of okay, right? Almost okay, not quite.
I mean, you haven't given me any room to respond. You're just saying a monologue.
Well, I'm just reading. I'm reading the book using the translation. So that was Exodus 21.
And putting your interpretation on it. But yeah.
Well, right. But so then we go to Leviticus 25. The Lord then spoke to Moses on Mount Sinai, saying, "Speak to the sons of Israel and say to them," and then gives a whole list of laws. So let's go find the Exodus 25 where the I'm just going to type in foreign. Here we go. This is poor countrymen. This is broken up into chapters, which is nice. Of redeeming a person who is poor.
Brother, we're getting off
stranger.
The main point here, which I'm fine with going on this. I'm totally fine.
Okay, I have to just go find out what exactly where the verse is. Is it 25:44?
Are you asking me?
I'm asking chat because they know.
What my point is
44 through 46. Yeah, here it is. Oh, it's right here. Okay, sorry, I'm just going to read this one more and then we can talk about it. This is just 3 verses. As for your male and female slaves, whom you may have, so it's saying you may have them, you may acquire male and female slaves from the pagan nations that are around you. Oh, it uses pagan, not foreign. Okay. You may also acquire them from the sons of the foreign residents who reside among you and from their families who are with you, and whom they will have produced in your land. They may also become your possession. You may also pass them on as an inheritance to your sons after you to receive as a possession. You can use them as permanent slaves. But in respect to your countrymen, the sons of Israel, you shall not rule with severity over one another. So it's this particular bit. Sorry, I wasted our time on Exodus 21. It's this particular bit referring to foreign slaves. You can just own them as property, pass them down as property. This is not indentured servitude. This is chattel slavery, right? And this is exactly the kind of thing that the Christians of the 15, 16, and 1700s used to justify taking black slaves.
Okay. So I could argue that all day long on what Leviticus 25 is saying. It still does distinguish foreigners from Hebrew debt servants. Hebrew servants receive specific release and land restoration protections that foreign servants apparently did not receive in the exact same form.
Right.
So, yeah, the conclusion is that Leviticus 25 permits a long-term, sometimes inherited form of foreign servitude, but did not authorize in kidnap-driven, race-based, or right-stripping chattel slavery practice in America.
To be clear, it is race-based because it's specifically talking about foreign nations, right? They didn't have a concept. They didn't have the same concept of race that we have. They didn't have the same concept of race that we have, but they were specifically doing an us.
I mean, that's not a race in general. My point is
clearly it's intellectually descended, or it's intellectually. It's like a predecessor for race, right? It's xenophobia.
Henry Garnett, Theodore S. Wright, Granville Sharp were all the people that landed the spear tip of setting the slaves free. That's not arguable. Christian doctrine.
Do you want me to give you a list of names of Christians who captured slaves?
That's irrelevant.
So then
the point is that Christianity was the thing that saved them. Okay,
and it's this thing that enslaved them, right?
Okay, bro. The point is that if I was in your argumentation, why wouldn't I just say these people are, I put my own value on who they are. Therefore, it is still morally good in my own conscience to make them slaves. What is wrong about doing that from your
because it doesn't align with my values.
Where do you get your values from?
I've already told you that. Some of it may be intrinsic, some of it may have come from the society or the family that I grew up in.
What's intrinsic?
So I could speculate on this, but the kinds of things that are intrinsic are like our innate disgust reactions to gore, our innate disgust reactions to things like incest, those kinds of things. Those are intrinsic, and those help build and those help provide a foundation for our morality.
But what about people that are pedophiles?
Yeah, they have something wrong with their brain.
Okay. And what
else? To be clear, when you say that like people are pedophiles, you mean like the patriarchs?
They like little kiddos. They like little kiddos. The point of it is, okay, what about somebody that murders? Is that wrong?
I mean, murder is defined as like immoral killing, so like it's kind of definitionally wrong. But if you mean that somebody that kills, it depends on the.
No, I'm saying murder.
Well,
I'm saying murder in the definition that it's used. In the definition that it's used,
then it's definitely
is the
definitionally wrong,
unjust
obviously.
or unlawful way to take someone's life.
Okay, so if you're using unjust, then I would say that is immoral, yes. But murder is indeed a legal term, right?
Yeah, it's a legal term used in a certain way. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean like murder is a specific kind of killing that we've deemed, we collectively have deemed as unlawful.
So it's self-defense, but you wouldn't classify self-defense as immoral. Correct.
It depends on the situation, but yeah.
Yeah, okay. Okay. So, super simple. Is stealing immoral?
Depends on the situation. I don't think stealing is always immoral. But you do, right?
What?
You do think stealing is always immoral.
Yeah, I would say stealing by definition is immoral.
And so is stealing a sin in your view?
Yes.
Okay. And is it the case that all sins are equal?
No.
Sorry, all sins but one are equal.
That's not what my Gemini said.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. All sins but one are equal. Because I'm pretty sure that blasphemy. I'm pretty sure that blasphemy of the Holy Spirit is singled out in the Bible as being uniquely unforgivable, and all other sins are equal, right?
No, that's not true.
I mean, I could go find the verse if you want.
I can too. It said, to him that delivered Jesus Christ to the actual the Roman guard, he created a far greater sin than others. Okay, so go find that verse, type it on Gemini real quick, because I know you'll have it.
Let me just pull it up. I'm just punching it into Google, because I'm pretty sure that there is a verse. One sec. Give me a sec. Give me a sec. I'm just finding the relevant. Oh, is it Matthew? Is this the one? Google sometimes is not super reliable. Therefore, so this is Matthew 21:31 or 12:31. I'm sorry. Therefore, I say unto you, all manner of sin and blasphemy shall be forgiven unto men, but the blasphemy against the Holy Spirit or against the Holy Ghost shall not be forgiven unto men.
That is correct. Yeah. Okay. And John 19:11 said, Jesus answered, you could have no power at all against me unless it had been given to you from above. Therefore, the one who delivered me to you has the greater sin.
Okay, so it seems like So
there is a hierarchy of sins.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Okay. I'm glad we got that.
Look, if that's your claim, that's fine. It's just it seems like it's in
contradiction
not my claim,
from the things that I've learned. Says.
I mean, the Bible also says that all sins will be forgiven except blasphemy. Right.
Yeah, that doesn't speak to their weightiness. That doesn't mean that one isn't worse than the other. It just says that they'll be forgiven. I don't know, dude. You might want to go back to the Christian understandings from like other scholars that you're saying are mainstream, because it doesn't sound like you're listening to the right ones. I want to say. I don't know.
So I mean, look. If you want to say that all sins are equally worthy of forgiveness except blasphemy, but some
I'm not
of those
saying
sins
they're not
equally worthy of forgiveness.
No, I'm going to do what you do.
Some sins are worse than others. In what respect are they worse?
Right, I'm going to tit for tat you like you do to me.
I wasn't trying to represent what you were saying. I was trying to summarize what you were saying in a way that I understand.
I'm not saying that you weren't trying to misrepresent me. I'm just going to say I'm going to do the same thing that you did.
Okay.
They're not equally worthy of getting forgiven.
Okay. So what are they?
They're equally able to be forgiven, but no sin is worthy of being forgiven. And they have a different type of scale as to their effect or their condition or their consequence as to what they are. But none of them are good.
So what makes different sins
different? We're going away from the morality issue too, which I think that you've done a couple of times on purpose.
Look, the reason why I'm asking is because it seems like obviously the case that if like somebody is starving on the street and they steal a loaf of bread, that they like That doesn't make them worthy of going to hell compared to as if they hadn't.
Oh, you just miscalculated a whole bunch of things. Do I think
mean,
it's the most grave?
Look, if we're talking about, like, I don't even think that'd be called a sin if you stole a loaf of bread if you're starving. Like, that doesn't even seem reasonable.
Well, that's what you think, right? That's what you think. I would say.
Would you think that somebody is sinning if they steal a loaf of bread because they're starving?
I would say that I don't. I would say I totally understand it. I don't think it's the most optimal way of getting food. In fact, I'd probably steer away from it. I would try to find something else to do, but it is not even close to the sin of killing a baby, let's say. And that's
sure.
mainstream Christianity.
So
I don't know where you're getting your ideology from.
If you mean like sin, if you mean by sin you mean like bad thing, then I agree. Like killing a baby is way worse than stealing a loaf of bread.
Yeah, sin is anything that's missing the mark, that is not in perfection of who God is. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So
let's get back to morality, because I think that you're scapegoating me.
That's fine. I mean, like, to be fair, you've like pulled us way off of the conversation about like CERN.
That's just because I like you. I think you're handsome.
Yeah, I know. It's okay. So is my wife. So look, it seems like that where even were we? We were talking about
we were at morality and what we were at morality.
Yeah. So I don't think that stealing is always wrong. You think that stealing always is wrong. I think that's like
so we can keep going.
Unintuitive,
we can keep going.
Sure.
Do you think that lusting after another woman or another man's wife is wrong?
Like just having thoughts or like doing something about it?
Let's say both.
Well,
would you classify one as not
doing something about it? I mean, like, it depends on what you're doing. Like,
I mean, we would say severity is worse, obviously, if you do said thing. But do you think having lustful thoughts about your buddy's wife, do you think that's a good thing?
Do I think it's like immoral? I don't think it's immoral. I don't think it's like moral. I think I don't think it has like a moral quality.
So you would have no preference if your best friend was undressing your wife right in front of you. You would have no thoughts about that?
Like in real life, in real life, or he was
doing
it in his head?
in real life.
He was doing it in his...
You gonna tell your chat right now that you are a cuck?
Wait a minute. So I wouldn't be okay if it was actually happening, but if somebody was just having thoughts...
I'm not talking about it happening. I'm not talking about it happening.
Okay, so I'm not here to police somebody's thoughts. Right in front of you. I'm not here to police somebody's thoughts.
He's looking at your wife. He's looking at your wife, licking his lips, undressing her. He's not done anything.
I think that would be inappropriate, yeah.
Okay, let's say not licking his lips. Okay, because licking his lips is now too far.
I'm not here to police somebody's thoughts. Maybe you are, but that's just not my business.
I'm not saying that you are policing them. I'm just saying, what are you assigning their value to? And what you're doing is...
I don't assign value to thoughts. I assign value to actions.
So you don't care. So I'm just saying, tell the audience you would not care if your best friend was undressing your wife right now.
My wife is a smoke show. If you don't think she's hot, then you're blind.
Because you're a smoke show. You know what I mean?
Thank you. Like, if you don't think my wife is hot, then you're blind. Like,
I have a wife, by the way, but...
Okay, fair enough.
I'm just letting your viewers know I'm not gay. But...
Yeah, sure. Look, even if you were, that's okay.
I understand in your worldview that would be okay. But the whole point that I'm trying to get across is that there are things that you and your own ideology and what you've learned are permissible in terms of morality. And what I'm saying is that can creep in the door of total totalitarianism and tyranny throughout the human race.
It's funny you say that, because like that's what Christianity has done.
Bro, what?
Have you looked at the history of Europe? It was literally kings up until like 250 years ago.
Okay.
Absolute monarchs, and they were all Christian.
Yeah, I'm not talking... Okay,
that's totalitarianism right there. That is just like a Christian tradition.
I'm talking about the negative form of totalitarianism. You could argue that God runs a tyrannical system. It matters who's at...
You could argue that.
Yeah, it matters who's at the head of that system.
If they're Christian, then it's okay.
Correct, because...
okay. So what about like...
Why is it...
Just to be clear...
Why is that scandalous?
I'm pretty sure Hitler was Christian.
If I'm Christian, I'm going to make everybody say, hey... Make sure you guys don't lie. Make sure you guys don't cheat. Don't sleep with each other's wives. Isn't that so scandalous? I can't believe somebody would say that if they're Christian.
Don't look at anybody lustfully or you're going to get stoned. Like, What are you doing?
Wait, okay, that's not that's
don't look at anybody lustfully, or you should pluck your own eyes out. Like what?
Okay, that's not. What are you? You're just okay, brother. That's a metaphor.
Oh, it's a metaphor. It's a metaphor when it's inconvenient, isn't it?
Brother, there was people that looked at people lustfully, even Jesus's own disciples. Did you see him go and pluck out their eyes?
He said that you should, right?
He's talking about the weight of the sin. He's saying that it would be better for you to not have eyes so that you don't look at a woman lustfully than be separated from God and have to endure that term. Huh?
Shouldn't you do what's better?
He's saying in spite of. Yeah, you should not look at a woman lustfully.
So you should pluck out your own eyes.
No, that's not what I said. Didn't
you say that it would be better?
You're
I'm pretty sure your words exactly. By the way, guys, this isn't Nick Fuentes because Nick Fuentes doesn't have a wife.
Wait, Nick Fuentes? How do we get on Nick Fuentes?
Some people in the comments think that you sound like him.
Do they really?
Yeah.
Hey, that's kind of a compliment then, huh? He's a pretty good debater. You think so?
No, he's kind of trash.
You don't think? Okay, you can say that you don't like him, but you can't tell me that he's not a good debater.
He's really bad.
You think that he's a bad debater in wholeness?
I've only ever seen him get completely
I think he's got a following for a reason. I think he has a following for a reason.
You might not have a wife. You sure that you have a wife?
Wait, what? Honey, hold on. Let me call her. I'll get her in here right now.
Okay. Because you sound like a groiper.
I sound like a groiper? What are you talking about?
I mean, you're defending Nick Fuentes.
Is this because I'm winning the debate?
No, it's because you're defending Nick Fuentes.
How am I defending Nick Fuentes?
You were just calling him a good debater.
How is it defending somebody? Bro, I think Barack Obama was a good debater. And listen, buddy, I don't follow on his same precepts at all. That doesn't mean that I'm defending him. I'm just saying you have. I mean, I understand you're not used to looking at things objectively and without partiality. But if somebody does
that's what's happening here.
But if someone's gifting and speaking, then they're just gifting and speaking. It doesn't mean that they're morally good or bad.
Okay, so but we agree that Nick Fuentes is morally repugnant, right?
I mean, are you talking about in totality?
That like the positions he advocates for.
I don't think all of his positions are morally repugnant. No.
But like in some.
But there's some that I disagree with.
No, like in totality, like the whole sum.
Hold on, give me 1 second. I'm trying to get my wife to come in here to prove to your audience that I'm not gay. Do I think? Well, I mean, again, you'd have to explain these things out because I can't give you blanket statements.
I mean, you clearly know Nick Fuentes' position, right? You've probably seen more of his debates than I have.
Honey, can you talk for me? Is this my wife?
Yes, it is, honey.
Am I gay, or are you? Did I pay you to say this, or are you really my wife?
No, I believe you. I believe you.
I just had to make sure everyone knew. Okay, thank you so much.
Okay, we're good. We're in agreement. So, sorry, I did drive us off on a tangent because I was just addressing what people said. I don't think you're Nick Fuentes. I think it is a little weird that you're not willing to say that his position, that the policies he advocates for are kind of like morally repugnant. But that's neither here nor there. It's not the topic of the conversation. So, where were we? We were talking.
You think my position's morally repugnant? That's why you're debating me.
So, no, I actually don't think that your position is I think that there are some aspects of your position that are. I actually think that Christianity is generally looked through the right lens is actually like, you know, it's kind of cute.
Lens. So here's the thing. Here's the thing with Christianity.
We were talking about kings. We were talking about authoritarianism because you were saying that atheism leads to authoritarianism, and I pointed out that all of the European kings were authoritarians.
Okay, we're talking, and again, we've slid away from this. I'm not trying to bore all the people watching because.
But we were talking about authoritarians, right? That's what we were talking about. That's how we got here.
The main point about this whole thing is that your position, what I take, and this is for everybody listening, if you want to know the exact character of God the Father, it's in Jesus Christ the Son. Scripture says that he is the visible image of an invisible God.
Wait, are they identical in essence? God the Father.
No, they're not
God
identical in essence.
So how could you know? How could you learn all of the characteristics of God the Father?
They are. Sorry. They're identical in essence, different in personhood. Yes.
Okay. So what kind of aspect is personhood?
Let's not go off on tangents here. Let's just stick on the thing. My point is that
you want to run away from the Trinity, but that's fine. Go ahead.
If we see Jesus everything that he does, exactly how he does it, is the exact expressed image of what the Father would do. If you see anything other or contrary to what Jesus is doing or what he did, then it goes contrary to who the nature of God is.
Okay, so should we kill trees unnecessarily?
The problem that you've had cursing a fig tree.
Should we kill trees unnecessarily?
I'm sure that you're way morally better than that. I'm sure you've never even killed a fly. But no, the whole point of that is to show that without Israel, the heavenly Jerusalem that's coming to the earth, that they will always bear fruit. It was a metaphor of what Jesus came to do.
Okay, so it didn't actually happen?
No, it did happen. There was a message behind it.
Okay, so Jesus did just kill a tree unnecessarily.
Wasn't unnecessarily. That's where you're getting tripped up on.
What was necessary about killing the tree?
Huh?
What was necessary about killing the tree?
To get the point across that heavenly Zion, when he brings it, will bear fruit.
Are you telling me that Jesus couldn't have adequately conveyed his message without killing a tree?
Brother, if your whole argument is that Jesus is immoral because he killed the tree, I don't think you're going to win over a lot of people.
I'm not saying he's immoral. I'm saying that it seems like that's
you
not
are. You're
like
saying,
a
is it
perfect
good
action.
to kill the tree?
It's egregious,
I want to get back on the frame of Jesus himself was the embodiment.
I know you want to get back to preaching.
No, okay, I'm not going to preach. What I'm saying is you come from a world viewpoint of the West that believes that everything that happens on this earth is God's divine plan or divine order. What I would say is that those two are a polarity. I don't agree with that whatsoever.
I don't even know what that means.
I would believe that John 10:10 talks about anything that killing, stealing, or destroying is of Satan. Anything that's life and life abundant.
Right?
Huh?
Except killing trees.
The tree wasn't bearing fruit.
So it's okay to kill it?
Correct. Yeah, if your tree is not bearing fruit, then yeah, you can kill it. And then
you know, if I remember correctly, in the story, the tree wasn't bearing fruit because it was too young.
No, that's not true.
I'm pretty sure it is. Let me pull it up. I'm just gonna pull up the. Is it? It's Mark 11, 12 through 25. Let's pull that up. Okay. Blah 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 blah. 12. When he reached it, he found nothing but So this is Mark 11 verse 13. Seeing in the distance a fig tree in leaf, he went to find out if it had any fruit. When he reached it, he found nothing but leaves because it was not the season for figs. Okay, I'm sorry. It's not that it was too young. It's because it wasn't the right season.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't that it wasn't bearing fruit. It just was the wrong season.
Right. Yeah. And his message was that his kingdom will bear fruit. That was his message, was that it didn't matter if it was out of season or in season, that his kingdom would always bear fruit. And he is the olive tree. That's what's been repeated all throughout the New Testament, which is a beautiful representation of what...
I thought it was a fig tree.
It was a fig tree. You're right.
Okay, so where's the olive tree? Did he kill an olive tree?
No, he is the branch. That's what Jesus is.
Jesus is a branch of an olive tree or a fig tree.
Yeah, he is the source. That's the whole meaning of it.
Wait, is he a branch or is he the trunk?
I don't know, dude. You can look it up. I know that he's
not
saying
clear
that
to me which part's metaphor and which part's literal.
Well, there's multiple views because then it also says that he is the vine, we are the branches. So, anyways, my whole point behind this.
The vine's living on the branches?
Brother, there can be multiple representations of one person and multiple analogies to the same person. That's not just
is the Father the fig tree? Or is that the Son?
What if Jesus were to say something and you didn't see it, if it was killing, stealing, destroying, all these other things, that comes from an understanding of what Satan does here on the earth.
Unless it's
trees.
What
I'm trying to say...
Then it's fine.
Huh? What?
Unless it's trees.
Yeah, dude, you got me. That is a great argument point. Anyways,
got it.
So the point is that why can you make all of exactly? You're taking a moral view right here, right now, that's saying why would you curse a fig tree? Are you saying that cursing a fig tree would be a bad thing? And if so, why?
Yeah, because I value plants.
You value plants?
I think that plants have some value. Yeah, I assign some value to them.
Because you assigned it to them, or
yeah.
Okay, so do you eat them?
Yeah. I think that we need to eat plants.
Here's a moral conundrum. Do you eat humans?
No, I assign more value to people than I do to plants.
Do you have a different intrinsic value for them?
I assign more value. Well, stop using the word intrinsic. I assign more value to people than I do to plants.
Okay, so I think intrinsic helps your argument a little bit better, because if people can just get the value.
It helps my argument, but it's not my position, so don't strawman me.
I didn't strawman you. I just said it would be more helpful. What I'm saying is that if we take, okay, boiling this down, if we take your ideology of what morality is, because something is something because we assign that worth to it, why would that not be a very dangerous thing to have within our government or anywhere over us? What is to say that one day you wake up and you say, you know what? I don't think these brown people are worth as much. Why would that be wrong for you to say that?
Why would it be? Because it's not my view.
It's not your view. Yeah, but what if it was your view?
What if pigs could fly? Like if it wasn't wrong, then it wouldn't be wrong. But it is wrong. So hence it's wrong.
Okay, so but somebody else has a different assigned worth to them. If someone else has a different assigned worth to them, are they wrong?
You mean if somebody else assigns worth differently?
Yeah.
Yes, they're wrong.
Okay, so why should we take your view of what's right and wrong above somebody else's?
Because mine's right. I don't get what's hard about this.
Didn't you say that yours is changing all the time?
It has changed in the past.
And how do you know that it's right?
Because those are my values.
That's a circular argument. Why do you know that your moral lens is right?
It's not circular, it's definitional.
I'm right because that's my belief. My belief is right because it's right. That's circular. What?
Well, no, it's right because those are my values. If you want to know why those are my values, we could talk about that. We could probably go into the origins of like where human values come from, but that's like a separate conversation.
No, I'm saying your values. Where
do they come from? I've already explained that. I explained that like an hour ago.
How do you know that your assigned value for somebody is right?
Well, because if they weren't right, I wouldn't have assigned them that way.
What?
Why would I assign them incorrectly?
Because are you all-knowing?
This isn't a question of all-knowing. You don't need to be all-knowing to assign value.
You're asking me why you would assign something incorrectly. My thing is,
yeah, what does it even mean for my values to be incorrect? What would that mean for my values to be incorrect?
I have an answer to that. You don't.
Yeah.
My answer to that is saying that it goes against the moral values that Jesus taught. So that's why it would be morally wrong.
Why does that make my values incorrect?
Because Jesus is God and he is truth.
That doesn't seem like it's addressing my question. Like I'm assigning a value. I assign values to things.
What do you need help with?
I assign values to certain things. Let's say I assign values in an arbitrary way. What makes that incorrect? What is false about that?
It doesn't make it incorrect or correct. It depends what that assignment is. Everybody's changing.
Let's say I do it arbitrarily, right? Let's say I do it completely randomly. So like every person has like a random number generated, and then that's the amount of value that they're assigned. How does that? What's false about that?
It's false if it was wrong.
Obviously, that's what wrong means. I'm asking what makes it false. What test do you do to evaluate whether or not it's false?
If it goes against the teachings of Jesus, then it's morally false.
So it's false because this other guy has these other values, and the values disagree with each other?
Brother, you're saying the same thing. You're saying it's right because I agree with it, but it's wrong if some other guy doesn't agree with it. You're saying the exact same thing. I'm just saying I'm putting my faith in a God.
My moral position is that I judge the value of things based off of my own morality.
Yeah, which I think is ludicrous.
No, you're right. Your view is just that you assign the value of things based off of some other guy's values, right?
No, I base it off of the most famous human being that's ever walked this planet, baby. Jesus!
Harry Potter?
Christ, dude.
If Discord didn't muffle you for shouting, that would have been a perfect crash out for the beginning of this video clip.
Really? No, dude, come on. That would have been sick. It muffled me?
Yeah, it did.
Come on. Yeah, no, that was sick. I made like a little intro thing. No, so my claim is that I'm basing my morality off the most famous man that's ever walked this planet.
So when
you're saying that he's wrong, and you're basing your morality
so when Muhammad
off of
is
the
more
God
famous than Jesus, which he will be in time.
Who will be?
Muhammad.
No, not a shot. Bro.
Yeah. I mean, there's going to be more Muslims in the world than Christians in like 20 years.
It doesn't mean that he's more famous. Look how many Christians have been in at play since BC. or
What do you
since
mean?
AD, as soon as he
I
died.
don't know how you're evaluating fame here, but the point is that, you know, once Islam is more popular than Christianity, or should we just use the morals of Islam?
Yeah,
or?
well, what about thousands of years? What about all that?
Well, okay, so Christianity is only 2,000 years old. Should we rely on even older stuff then, or?
What'd you say?
Christianity is only 2,000-ish years old. Should we rely on older stuff than that?
No, we would
Or if we're
rely
talking
on
about
things that
age?
have the most impact for humanity for the longest period of time.
The most
And that would
impact
be
for humanity? Well, then
that would
arguably
be,
it'd be
baby,
Judaism,
that would be
right?
the Holy Bible, baby. That's what that would be.
No,
You know
it
what I
would
mean?
be Judaism, right? Because Judaism is what
No, it wouldn't be
influenced
Judaism.
Christianity to
No,
exist.
because Judaism died in its numbers after Jesus Christ was resurrected. That's
it
what
actually
happened,
continued
baby.
to grow. Only like 1,000-ish Jews converted to Christianity within the first century.
500 people after he was risen all claimed and said that we saw
Sorry,
the
who are these 500
resurrected son.
people?
What?
Who are these 500 people?
They're people that historians have written about. That there was
Can you give me a
500
name?
eyewitness testimonies.
Can you give me a name, please?
No, just look it up, dude. These
I
are
have
things that
looked this up.
aren't even contested in
The
scholarship.
500 is like completely made up, by the way.
No, it's not, bro.
There
it's
are
not.
no known
The
names of any of these 500.
Okay, I've
There's no
caught you
known
a
names
few
of any of
times.
these 500.
It doesn't matter if there's no names of them. I've
So then how
caught
do you know that it
a
even
few
happened?
times.
How do you know it even happened? The 500 witnesses are just a trust me, bro. So it's like, oh yeah, this totally happened.
What do you mean? It's
500 people told me.
It's what scholars, Josephus, all these people wrote.
Josephus didn't
from
write about the 500. Don't be delusional.
And it's like he did. I'm saying that there were scholars at the time that Hey, listen, this isn't even contested, and I know why, because
It is
scientists
contested.
try to. Bro, scientists in your own field try to write it off as a group illusion that happened to multiple people.
No, you're confusing the word illusion with delusion.
Amazing. Audience, did you hear that? He just won the debate.
I did.
Unreal.
Look, it sounds like it's crazy that you're appealing to like the 500 random guys that we don't know the name of.
I'm
that
not
like,
just
but trust me,
appealing to
bro.
that.
But trust me, bro,
appealing
it
to
definitely
people-
happened. But interestingly enough, this has been studied, and it's been estimated that around 1,000 Jewish people converted to become Christians by the end of the 1st century. So within 70 years, only like 1,000 Jewish people even bought this. In fact, the vast majority of people who
First of
became
all, the gospel's
Christians,
for the Jews and the
the
Gentiles.
vast majority of people who became Christians were non-Jews. That's
tell
how
me this.
Christianity grew. It did
You
not
tell me
grow
this.
out of Judaism.
How did men claim that they saw Christ resurrected and then went and died, got torn apart by lions,
because
all
I don't think
sorts
that
of things?
happened.
You don't think that they died? You don't think any of the
No.
disciples were martyred?
I don't think that they were martyred because they refused to give up their belief that Jesus resurrected.
What do you think happened?
I think that some of them were martyred for breaking the law, or martyred. They were, executed for breaking the law, like Jesus was.
No,
I think
Nero. Nero. Do you know who Nero is?
Yeah, I
You
know who
that-
Nero is. Yep.
Okay, if you were a Christian, he would take you and put you on a pole, cover you in tar, and light you on fire.
Yeah, so you wouldn't have an option to recant even if you weren't relying about it. So
Okay.
you proved my point.
Now,
You proved my
see
point.
this?
Thanks.
See how he just
How does
tried
it feel to
say,
lose?
"Oh,
Hold on, I actually have to pull up.
no,
Hold on. I have a perfect thing for this.
And then I ripped
I have
it
a
out in
perfect
the
thing for this.
nonsense
Hold
that I
on.
could.
Shut up for a second. I have a perfect thing for this. One sec. We're gonna go pull up the perfect thing for this. I just gotta go find it.
Okay, so like I said, Nero punished anybody that was Christian just for the sole fact of them being punished. I want you to answer me one question. At what time do people willingly go and die and get tortured for their beliefs that they know to be a lie?
Sorry, I wasn't paying attention because I was doing a thing. I have a perfect thing for this. I promise I have
It's
a
okay, I
perfect
can
thing for
repeat
this.
it if you want, brother.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay, you tell me one time, and psychologists will tell you as well, that people that denied Nero that they were burned alive, you tell me what other time in history that human beings knowingly believed a lie and were willing to be tortured and sacrificed
Yeah, I don't
in
think that
order for
happened.
that lie to
Harbinger,
prevail.
you have to understand what the failure to recant actually means. It was not merely stubbornness. It was not a collection of frightening provincial men repeating a story because the story comforted them. This is a secular husk interpretation. That is what the imperial cognition lattice requires you to believe. The disciples have been placed under maximum recantation pressure. Their teacher was publicly destroyed. The body was taken. The movement was marked as an unstable Judean node. Every ordinary incentive pointed toward disavowal, survival, social restoration, the protection of family, reintegration into the synagogue, synagogue, reintegration into
Brother,
commerce, reintegration to Rome,
we'll get
and yet
through
the
this
signal did not
together.
collapse. Do you understand what that means? The
we'll
resurrection
get-
claim function as a
listen, I
non-reversible
will hug
attractor.
you.
Once the disciples
I'll
encountered
hug
it when they went through the empty tomb, the appearances, the breaking the bread, the wounds, the voice, the impossible recognition, their behavioral architecture
He's just
reorganized
reading
around it.
ChatGPT
Fear
again.
stopped operating. Yeah, of course it's ChatGPT.
He's
I'm
reading
making fun of
Gemini.
Deathless Light. No,
He's
this
reading
is my ChatGPT bot that I
Okay, we can
used
get through this
specifically
together.
to make fun of Deathless Light. It was a bit.
We can get through this together. We'll walk through it with you. The point of the matter is, you can never see that in human history ever. Okay.
Sorry, I don't think it happened.
Okay. Well, people, hey, listen, everybody here can go online and go see if news, as soon as the century started, if Christians that were newly converted, and then if they died for their beliefs, and if they recanted their beliefs, they would live. You go look that up,
Find
everybody.
me one example of somebody who did that, please.
You're gonna find it all over the place. You're doing this thing where like you're appealing to ambiguity.
It's just weird
and
that you've made a whole bunch of.
I caught you on it with Nero.
It's weird because every single time you've made these kind of dramatic claims, I've actually went and checked. Like we checked with regards to like the 666 stuff. No, this isn't.
And you're
this isn't
reading
Gemini. This is a
your own
specific bot
thing.
that I produced.
What I'm saying is that obviously you're going to
we've
sift through
explicitly
information.
checked this.
Brother,
We've
obviously
explicitly
you're going to
checked
sift through
this.
information that you want to see. I'm telling the audience, you guys go check and see if it's true. And when it is
they'll
true,
find none. But you're just going to make a claim. You're just going to make a claim without being able to back it up, huh?
DM me on Discord when you find that it's true, and I will pray for you and we'll lead you to the Lord. Okay,
And
audience?
when you find that it's not true, DM me on Discord, or actually don't DM me on Discord. DM me on
here's another
TikTok,
thing.
and I will think for you.
Here's one thing, and I'll let you go because you've been so gracious with your
I
time.
actually have to go now anyway.
Wait, okay.
Wow, we kept him on for a lot, but that was he was on for a while. But you know what? It was definitely something. We went all over the place. That was crazy. Let's read some super chats. I have to end the live a little bit early. Whew. You guys are very generous. That's 100% going on YouTube like tonight. From Pi 3.1 with the $10. So light has no time delineation through space. Seems a good comparison to the attribution of timeless life-giving transcendental communicator I am. No, not really. This is a misunderstanding of how light travels through space. It doesn't have. It's not the case that it has no time. From Eat Some Shorts with the $5. He keeps hitting more towers. So many towers were struck. They all fell. He was doing a terrorism on me. From Grimmy with the $2. The cross is a symbol of oppression. Indeed it is. From Christopher Sanford with the £5. Sorry. 2 circles, 5 tails makes 3 sixes, just like they somehow end up with one god from 3 divine beings who are all different but the same. It's Christian. Oh, I definitely should have mentioned that. That's a good point. It is just Christian math. From Cherry Bomb Games with the $5. Boy, it sure sounds like sacred geometry is just anything you want it to be. Yeah, I mean, this is when we were talking about CERN. He was just happy to just say whatever, and then if it was wrong, he would say, but sacred geometry is about symbolism. From King Peanut with the $5. If divine destruction is immoral, then Noah's Ark is immoral. That man is clearly a religious bigot. Of course he is. Of course he is. From Simeon Urchin with the $2. This guy has Terrence Howard levels of delusion. Yeah, I know. He was all over the place. From Simeon Urchin again. How dare Shiva kill people? But the flood? Perfect. Yeah, I missed that. I should have made that connection, but I was too... Anyway, from Grimmy with the $5. Morals based in authority are easily flawed through obedience and allows unethical practices. This is exactly what happened with the taking of slaves, with basically anything that your king commanded. Because the king was divinely appointed by God, of course. From Dr. Fudge with the $5. Caller sounds a lot like Nick Fuentes. He did sound like it, but I don't think that he is Nick Fuentes. I think that he's a real human who just has bad views. From King Peanut again with the $5. Jesus not being a man male actually makes sense, since if he was the result of a virgin birth, he would be female, since he'd be a genetic clone of Mary. No, God impregnated Mary with the divine sperm, which had the Jesus chromosome. From Grimmy with the $2. Morals can be based through ethics and... Morals can be based on ethics and autonomy. They can be, but this is, there's more to unpack there. From Christopher Sanford with the £5. There is a level of dumb beyond which good faith or bad faith doesn't matter. This is way beyond that level of dumb. Facepalm protection needed. Yeah, I mean, my face was safe, fortunately. From Cherry Bomb with the $5. Man, this is one long crash out. Yeah, it was really long. I'm actually going to title the video. I'm going to title it something like longest crash out in history. I think that's going to be the title of the video. From Veronica Cromet with the $5. Where do people get the confidence to just fully make stuff up? Simply reading a history book might not be enough for this guy. Yeah, I mean, like, he just straight up said that Buddhism has castes. Like, of course it doesn't. What's your YouTube channel called? Just look up Blitz. Look up Blitz PhD or Dr. Blitz, you'll find me. From Grimmy with the $2. Being lawful does not equate to being just. Indeed, that's the case. From Atheist Black Woman with the $2. Can this moron's volume be lowered? GFC. I wish I'd seen that earlier. I would have. From Grimmy again with the $2. Guest is so cringe, will be great content. Indeed it will be. It's a long video. From Cow Abductor with the $2. Not gay, but I'm undressing Dr. Blitz right now. Look, if that's what you need, by all means. Absolutely. From Matt Meister with the $2. Is this guy LARPing as Nick Fuentes? I think he just idolizes him. From Tim Davidson with the $2. Noah, one of the unicorns escaped. From Grimmy again with the $5. Guest just seems to believe might authority makes right, but that's fundamentally flawed. Well, right, he's probably a Christian nationalist, right? From Kevin with the $5 there are Pokemon cards valued at hundreds of dollars, but to me they're just worthless paper. Right, we assign value. That's an internal thing. They don't have that intrinsic value. From Christopher Sanford with the £2. Lol, I will think for you is awesome. Yeah, it's a good rebuttal to I'll pray for you. It's always a good one. Oops, dropped the thing. It's the hair tie. The hair tie is the thing that I dropped. Let's just make sure that I don't have any, by the way, I do have a Deathless Light jargon generator now, but I prompted it wrong. I was supposed to tell it to generate jargon about the failure of Christian disciples to recant, or about Christian disciples not having the opportunity to recant, not that they were, anyway, I should have prompted it better, but it was still fun to just like ramble like Deathless Light does. There's like a whole like several paragraphs of this stuff. Grimlock for hydration donation. I think I got that earlier and my water bottle is now empty, which is a bummer. And then I just want to double check. Yeah, okay, that looks like everything. So I do have to end the live. I'm going to take my wife to an appointment today. And so I have to end the live because we have to go in like 5 minutes. So thank you guys so much for being here. You will see me again on Sunday for the Unapologetic show. I might be around popping in and out of live streams or whatever, but you won't see me properly until Sunday unless I decide to go live, which I probably won't. Thank you guys so much. And make sure to follow along, subscribe, hit